Mm, mm, mm. Oh, yeah. I'm with this, with it. I'm just gonna lay back and I'ma drop some smooth lyrics. So tune in 7 to 9:30 and don't be late. We about to set it straight. Ain't no half-stepping with Marcus J. Word. I'm ready, let's go. Ain't no half-stepping, that's the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunter's talk sprinkled with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half-stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk, run it back. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk. Steppin' is the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunter's talk sprinkled with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half-stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk.
All right, y'all. Ain't no half-stepper. Marcus J is live. We in the building, of course, ready to have a outstanding show. We ready to get it. It's going to be a great show tonight. We're excited. Hopefully, y'all are excited as well. Great conversation coming, great topics. You're ready to listen to the flagship show of Legacy and their radios called Ain't No Half-Stepper with Marcus J. And we are live right now.
Yeah. It's about that time. It's about that time to get. Yeah.
Button your lip, open your ears, strap on your thinking cap. Socially conscious talk that's entertaining with a dash of humor and the top sports stories of the week. It's time for Ain't No Half-Steppin' with Marcus J.
Sellers has Jordan. Jordan with 2 seconds to go. Puts it up. It's good at the buzzer. Michael Jordan has won it for Chicago. Manning lobs it. Burris alone. Touchdown, New York.
Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. He hits one deep to right center. That ball is out of here. The Yankees win the pennant.
Ain't no half-stepping with Marcus J is live. We are in the building. Be down with us tonight at 804-402-2893. Be part of the flagship show, heard live from the new den of Legacy and their radio. Thank you to everybody who's rocking with us tonight. We appreciate those folks that are checking us out. Facebook Live on Marcus J's page. Facebook Live on Legacy Internet Radio's page. Ain't no half-stepping with Marcus J page. YouTube on our www.legacyinternetradio website. We're there. We've got our archive there. If you miss anything, you go back there and find it. Because y'all rock with us, we'll roll with y'all. So we appreciate those folks that are checking us out. So we got a big show, as we do every single Monday night at 7 p.m. That's how you find us from week to week. Of course, we'll go around the table and we'll get the usual suspects introduced. Of course, you get an opportunity to rock with this brother every single Monday night. He's my friend, so I rock with him all the time. My brother John. What it do, homie? What's going on?
My brother. What's going on?
I'm chilling, brother. It's good to see you. How you doing?
Good to see you too. Good to be seen. How's everything?
Man, I can't call it. It's been a good day today. Could be worse. I'm on the right side of the dirt, so it's good.
Hey, listen, ain't nothing like it, right?
And not
Yeah,
below.
you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Listen. And to my left,
Yeah.
welcome back.
Yeah. Our
The
sister's home.
impeccably
Our sister's
gorgeous
home. Yeah.
sister,
Yeah.
Steph B. How you doing, sweetie?
I appreciate it.
It's better
Thank
when
you
you're
for the
here.
welcome.
It's
Oh,
better
you
when you're
make
here.
everything better.
Oh, look at
Everything's better with a little bit of Steph.
your
'Cause I
birthday
had to
passed,
do
so
this
you're
show
not trying to get
with-
anything.
I had to do the show with just
Yeah,
him
just
last
him.
week. It was just him.
I saw you
We ain't
too.
even have good banter.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
The lies. I walk in and y'all are bantering. What are you talking about?
Yeah, man. It's good to see you, Steph. How you doing?
Thanks. Always forward.
Yeah.
I'm just in a little healing phase with this eye. I'm not rude.
Yeah.
Anybody see me on camera? Although this might be my
It might be the
Where
look
my
though,
hater
because when you
blockers.
came in, I said, "Here come the stunner."
yeah.
Yeah.
It's my hater blockers. That's
I
how
could-
I keep them off.
Yeah. Hey, look, man. People wonder how I'm known for wearing tinted. I don't have them on today, but I typically have on tinted glasses because that's the reason. So I could just side.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You know,
Side eye.
your age will make you realize that some things are a privilege.
Yeah.
Like I could pop contacts in when I was in my 20s and wear them 30 days, overnight, all night, party, whatever. Now, if they're in there 3 days,
Can't do it.
this right here.
Can't
So
do it.
yeah, I had to I got to transition to the glasses more frequently than
Yeah.
contacts. Yeah.
I can tell you
Reminding
from
me
personal
of my
experience that there are worse things in the world than being a person that wears glasses. To me, it's like my nose. If you took my ears away,
Yeah, you're used to wearing
you know
them,
what I
right?
mean? Like if you took my eyes away or my face away, it's like my glasses is part of it.
Well,
you
as
know?
someone who's almost been stuck in the house for 2 weeks because I was light sensitive,
Yeah.
I know there's something worse than wearing glasses.
Yeah.
And it's being in pain.
Yeah.
So-
Well,
but yeah, I'm
you
on the
making your way
mend.
through it.
I am. I'm on the mend. I'm out. I'm
Yeah.
out here. I mean, literally, the sun was like, no
You
way.
wasn't-
Yeah, I was
couldn't
waiting
do it?
until night to take my dog out. It just was terrible.
So you was
for
on
2
some
weeks.
vampire type stuff.
I was really on it.
Yeah.
And shout out. I mean, anytime I'm like, should I go to the emergency room? That's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because nobody one, you don't want to spend the money on
You
it.
don't want to go.
And two, you don't want to go.
Yeah. Which one did you go to? If
I
you don't
would-
mind me?
You know what? I had the most pleasant experience that I possibly could have in an ER at Chippenham.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
It's the irony is that's the one most folks usually try to avoid.
Is it really?
Yeah, that's the stereotypical. Don't go.
I
to the-
rep VCU hardcore.
Yeah.
So
I
this
mean,
is
it
what
is only a few blocks from
Well,
me,
see,
That's
two
different.
things.
but they
One,
are fast and efficient.
I live closer to it's faster for me to get to Chippenham, one.
Yeah.
And two, I went online and was looking at reviews because I've never had a reason to go to an ER.
Right.
And I was reading them and I was like, you know what? I'm going to take my chance on Chippenham. And I had a really, really good experience.
Well, I'm glad.
Now, the only thing that's weird these days about hospitals is they triage in the hallway,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So again, it's not like I'm a frequent flyer at the ER, but I happen to be in there. And so now you're just sitting in recliners with little curtains between you and the next person. So you're hearing everything. And for some reason, this guy thought that it was a good time for him to
You
play
sing the song.
Mariah Carey on his phone. Mind you, I had a migraine that was on 10. Like I had a kind of
So
migraine
she
that,
hit that note and hit that nerve.
and he's singing with it
Oh my god!
in the middle, and he sings in one note.
Let me get a demographic.
There's a hero. I'm like, no, we can't.
Give me a visual. What's this dude? Did you see him? What's
I
he look
saw
like?
him because I got up
What's he
and said
look like?
something to him.
What's he look like? Help describe him.
About in his early 60s, late 50s, older, dark-skinned black dude.
So black dude, an old man,
Salt and pepper.
salt and pepper, old black dude singing Mariah Carey.
Singing
That's why I
Mariah
wanted
Carey.
the visual.
Singing Mariah
'Cause I
Carey.
can't, you ain't never going to get that out your brain. You know
Yeah,
that, right?
I recorded it. It
So
was
you ain't
that
gonna never
bad.
get it out your phone. then.
It's never leaving. And finally, because all these nurses are walking by and they're too polite to say anything, I just couldn't handle it anymore. And I like put my head around the curtain and was like, yo.
So you checked him.
I said, sir, please, can you give me a little bit of privacy over here? I don't want to hear it. He's like, oh, okay, yes, ma'am. But every time he would walk by after that, he had to mean mug me. I don't care.
Hey man, you
I
needed
was
your
in pain.
piece.
Yeah.
You needed your piece.
So, quick question: When did you start wearing glasses, Marcus?
1979.
Good. You knew that right away.
5.
Okay.
And here's why. I remember very clearly why, because I still feel a way about it, even though I'm glad Miss Dally called my mama and told her that I couldn't see.
Miss Dolly had an impact, clearly.
Miss Dally called my kindergarten teacher. She called my mama and told my mama I was having trouble seeing the alphabet from the front row. Because I was a little dude, even in the kindergarten, I was a little dude in the class. So she put me in the front row and I still couldn't see it. So she snitched on me.
That's not snitching, Mark.
So she snitched on me. So I go and I get the glasses, and on the first day of school, I had to deal with the 4 eyes.
That's why I didn't like them when I was younger.
So,
it's just how kids perceive
You got to
them.
follow up. I can see it in your face.
At 2 years old, I'm riding bikes with my sister. We were with my grandfather, my father's father, and we were in St. Louis. And he was a superintendent of a building. So we were in the he had his apartment in the basement, and we would ride because there's a lot of open space in the basement. And I would consistently ride into poles. They would blame my sister, and me and her had beef up until our teens about that because she got blamed for me riding in the poles.
Just riding in the poles.
They figured it out a year later
at 2
that I was absolutely blind. So
you never wear glasses. Wear your glasses.
Well, I have
contacts?
contact lens implants because
Oh.
I couldn't wear. I was not a
back in the day,
candidate.
they used to do that a lot.
I was not a candidate to wear contacts because my stigmatism was too bad.
So is this permanent for you?
Yeah, it's permanent. They cut the lid. They cut the outer layer. They placed the contact in, and then they sew it back up.
That's kind of like a pre-LASIK.
Yeah.
Yeah,
thing.
but now they do that with the LASIK. I had to get that and LASIK
No.
to be able
That's
to
too
not
much.
wear.
That's too
If
much.
LASIK is the only option, I will just wear glasses.
I just wear glasses.
Because I feel like, I look good. I pick a nice cat eye.
Yeah, but my glasses
I
was
just
this
go with
thick
that.
though.
Oh, damn. Well,
They
you go
were.
right ahead with that.
They
What
were
you
this
say?
thick.
Good
But-
choice then, John.
So
the time
people,
I eat
listen, let me tell you how this was. We would be in East New York. This is how thick my glasses were. I would be in East New York, and people would ask me what time it is. I'd be like, I don't gotta watch. They said, well, look downtown. You can see the clock.
You
you
was that guy.
know the Williamsburg Savings
You
Bank.
was that guy.
Yeah.
You was
So
that guy.
they hit me with that.
That's
So-
thick glasses.
so
Marcus, your glasses
they
are
asked
not
me,
very
could I
thick.
see the future?
Well, I got this
you know.
new. They've never been like super thick. They were thicker than I would have liked, but they were never really super thick.
No,
but,
mine was super thick.
but my eye doctor told me that she can give me these lenses that could do the job, and the glass won't be as thick. I just got to pay a little more. Which I said, well, let's get it.
Right.
And I
right.
remember from 5, after a few days of the 4 eyes thing, I was just putting them in the lunchbox and just winging it.
Nah.
And I went through that, for about 9 years or so, probably till about 13, 14, playing baseball, everything without them, till it got to the point where I couldn't, right? And I remember the anxiety, and what I did was I started a new school. So when I started the new school,
Going with 'em.
I just went in with them. And when I went in with them, one of the girls that I thought was cute told me that I was cute with the glasses. Oh, it was a wrap.
Oh, forget it. That's
All right,
all
so
I had to
I
happen.
never-
It was
I
a
never-
wrap. It was a
listen,
wrap.
mine was
I've been wearing them ever since.
Mine was
Like,
the
give me
opposite,
two
right?
pairs.
Because I had the Superman effect coming up, right? So I would have the glasses on. People would see me all the time with the glasses on. Pay me no mind.
So you took
I get up close in a conversation with a girl, peel them off to clean them. That was my whole thing. I take them off to clean them,
Like,
and then look over. They be like, Oh,
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah.
John had the benefit of the 70s and light skin.
Yeah.
Oh
so-
yeah, oh
man.
yeah. Oh, I raked
And he had
in
the
every bit of it.
he had the good
I
DeBarge
had that
hair.
long. I had that long. Oh, it was long for
He
a
had the
while.
good DeBarge hair.
Look, he said for a while.
For a while, it was long. Then I started doing the curly top fade. I was Albie
Yeah.
Shore.
Yeah,
I was
man. You see
Christopher
him, right?
Williams. I was
Yeah.
every
I
light
Al B.
skinned.
called it.
I was
LB.
every light skinned brother there was, and I loved it. Look, but I wore glasses. I said that to say, I wore glasses from 4 years old to 48 years old.
So you just got the surgery.
So for 44 years, I wore glasses. So my glasses were so much a part of me that I will see people today
they don't recognize.
and they be like, I'm like, yo, it's John. John with the glasses? Oh, yeah, with the glasses.
With the glasses.
I was John with the glasses.
John with the glasses.
I
You
was
know, in
John
the
with the
hood,
glasses.
It's always like that.
But you know what's funny, man? Once I realized that this was I went through the contact phase and I wore contacts. I played sports when I was younger, so it was just easier, to wear contacts then. So,
So you didn't put rubber bands on it?
not
That's
until,
what I did. I put
well,
rubber bands on.
nah,
Oh, gosh.
I couldn't do that because I didn't want to go back to putting them in my lunchbox. But from I would say 14 to about 20, I had contacts, so I would intermittently switch. But I had figured out right after I was told, "You so cute with your little glasses." Right after she said that to me, I figured out if you go to Delancey Street, right?
Oh, yeah, the
yeah.
optician.
Well, no. If you go to Delancey Street to one of the street vendors, they used to have all of the cool
The
glasses
really nice frames.
on
Yeah.
right there on the street. So what I would do, I go to Delancey and I would buy 2-3 of them, whatever it was, and then I would go to my eye
Get
doctor.
your lenses.
And I would let them put the lenses in, and you figure, they'd be, back in them days, $40-50, whatever it was. So you figure for about $150, you had 3 pairs of glasses. Whereas now it's kind of like that now. Back then, that's the way I used to do it.
Yeah.
So if you go and look in my drawer at the crib, one day I'll take a picture. And well, y'all can't see it because I can't let y'all see it, but I'll let y'all see it. Well, maybe I will let y'all see
You
it.
can
But
let them see
if you go in the drawer, I straight up am like Fred Sanford. It's a whole drawer
full of
full of
glasses.
glasses.
So I was
He did have
no, wait a minute, wait a minute.
Man, I am
I
that guy.
actually I've showed you here that I got some of my collection left
Yeah.
because when I got of age and had a few dollars in my pocket, Mr. Cartier was my man. I had
Actually, we sat right
Yeah.
here. You showed me.
I
You showed me.
I had so many pair of Cartier frames with my thick old glasses in it with the tint. You get my heavy D on.
Yeah.
It was just
God.
real.
Yeah.
But I
was
was
me.
killing it. Yeah.
I got a
Like,
pair. I had a pair of
every
glasses that I
light-skinned.
walked
Yeah.
into high school with, and I could show you a picture from around 1990, and I had the heavy D tint. And I remember going into the because by then, just 2 or 3, 4 years into consciously knowing this
Yeah,
just
this
what
is
it is.
it.
This is what it
Yeah.
is. So I go in there and I tell her, I'm like, or him or whatever the doctor was. This is the way I want the tint. I learned the phrase called gradient tint.
Gradient.
Yeah, I said I learned all of that, and it didn't look like heavy D's.
Yeah.
But that's the look. I'm glad you said that because
Yeah.
that's the look I
That's
was
what you was going
for.
for. Yeah.
Yeah, because Dwight was cool, and I know that's your guy. I
Yeah,
know
that's-
that's your,
yeah.
I know that's your guy.
That's my guy. I had the serious Arius Pon Arius tint. Hold on, I'm gonna find a photo for Steph.
Yeah,
I'm
uh-oh.
gonna
Oh,
find a
He's
photo
God.
for
looking. He's
Steph.
looking. So
know?
you see what you inspired, sis?
Mm,
You see
well,
what you
you know,
inspired?
you know.
4 eyes unite.
That's right. That's right. Y'all make me feel very good. Thank you. Thank you.
So you amongst your brothers, so we got
Yes,
you.
yes.
We got you.
It's good
And you
to
know
be
how
back.
Steppin with Marcus J live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio 804-402-2893 is the number to dial. You want to rock with us? We'll roll with you. All right, so let's kind of talk. We showing pictures now. I need to see. Am I gonna be making fun? Oh, I seen this.
Oh God.
I seen this. John, it was more John back then
A
too.
real
Not only,
LL
not,
Cool
on, not
J.
only did you
Yeah,
you
this
have
is a
the
much smaller
glasses,
John.
but you were a bigger guy. You're a big
Yeah,
guy now,
had-
but you were a
had-
bigger
I
guy.
had a lot of oh, what the hell just happened? How did I lose what I was
Yeah,
doing?
he was
see.
an 80s player.
You see him, right? You see him.
Yeah.
We gotta love him.
Yeah.
You don't have Steph Marcus J live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. All right, John, Steph, let's kind of move into tonight's show and the things that we're going to be talking about. Shout out to the folks that are checking in to the show now. I see that we have a few folks who have checked in. John, we want to talk today. You had mentioned about how yeah, I saw that picture. Pimp Daddy. You almost, you know what? You look like you could be Ken the Big Pun in that picture. You should put that
Yes.
picture up. You can, and I bet you more people would agree.
It's been up.
Huh?
It's
Oh, it's
been
been
up.
up.
So let's see if
Okay,
they
yeah, you
agree.
posted.
Thursday, I'll do a couple.
Yeah, and see if see if anybody. But
Yeah.
anyway, we're gonna talk about the racism angle, a
Okay.
different type of racism angle that you and I had talked about when we were in the pre conversation. So let's get it. Let's round table.
So I've noticed as of late, and it's this year. It started last year, but definitely since the inauguration, a lot of white liberals have decided that they can determine the parameters of racism in regard to, oh, things are not as bad as they used to be. And my thing is, that's never your call to make. And if you feel that you have enough anything to even have a voice on the subject matter, you're racist. Because you should know enough to know that that's not your call to make. And the fact that you feel like you can call it is what's called white privilege. And as far as I'm concerned, that's racism. You know, and that's just it for me. You know, I'm a fan of Real Time with Bill Maher, and he does a lot of low racism stuff on his thing, and I usually let it slide. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes he's trying to make a joke, but then he gets like he's heavy racist against Muslims. He's heavy racist against he's an Islamophobe. He low key pleads atheism, but then big up the Jews every chance he gets, right? And he will not recognize the fact that the things that people in Islam are doing, they're 600 years behind Christianity and thousands of years behind Judaism. And when those religions were in the same age frame as Islam, they were far more brutal and cruel. Right? So I don't know how many people died at the end of the sword for Christianity, and how many millions died with wars in what could be, just wiping out whole civilizations because my God's better than your God on some Judaism. So the fact that people are today willing to die and possibly kill for their religion, I don't back it. I don't promote it or in any way justify it. But radicals are radicals, idiots are idiots, and it is in no way a reasonable majority of Muslims. It's no way near. I mean, it's such a small percentage of Muslims who are radical and violent, right? You got some fundamental radicals who are just hardcore, like they in the hadiths more than they are into the Quran. And people who don't know Islam, that's like Christians who are more into
the Ten Commandments.
No, they're more into what Jesus wore as opposed to following the 10 Commandments, right? So they all about Jesus, 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 right? And not even understanding that Jesus was a practicing Jew, and they don't follow the practices that he followed. So,
but to be fair, Bill Maher is he's not even a microcosm of white liberalism and what you hear and see from white liberals. I mean, I agree with you. I think there's a level of, even with white progressives, there's a level of, let me tell you Negroes what's good for you.
Right.
Because we're here for you.
But even the what's good for you, that's to me, that's a separate white privilege conversation. But just the idea of them saying, hey, racism is not as bad as it used to be. You guys have come a long way and you should be thankful. Yo, for real, one, I will argue anyone who wants to have the argument. I don't want to have it right here. We could, but I'm saying I will argue anyone that I can I can provide empirical data and statistics that prove that racism is actually worse for Black people in America today than it was 50 years ago. Right? And it's an argument. I'm not saying that I'm absolutely right. I'm saying an argument can be made. So if an argument can be made, where do you get off, white liberal, white progressive, having an opinion?
I think for me, and I agree with you that it's kind of like there are some conversations that are meant for home, right? And I'm immediately like, hey, I don't need your opinion or your input on this. But what I look at with, I think one of the greater experiences that I was watching closely was when Bernie was running, not this last time, but the time before, and they were all.
I'm sorry, that's just funny because Bernie got a lot of running time.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's for president two cycles ago, and when they were so, because he's been in pictures of from the civil rights era, I'm like, okay, he still represents a state where a large population of the imprisoned people are Black, and Black people are a very small part of the population.
There's no state that isn't.
Well, I'm just saying for that
everybody that represents a state in the United States represents a state that has an inordinate amount of Black people behind bars.
Right. But the fact is with Bernie, since you want to push and promote him as this icon or scion of civil rights, you then do have to own that conversation much more deeply, right? Because the red states, they don't care that there are more Black people imprisoned, and even purple states like ours, they're not going to care about that. But what I really saw during that period of time,
we didn't make it all the way to blue yet.
Oh no, we're not there yet. We need to be concerned. But what I did notice 2 cycles ago was the big thing for progressives was to consistently white-splain to Black people why Bernie should be the choice. And it was always this tone of, if you don't understand why Bernie's the guy, then you're the problem. And and there's this.
That's Biden. You don't vote for me, you're not Black.
We have this expectation, and there is this air of, since I consider myself allied with you, then by nature you must know that I agree with what's best for you, so you shouldn't disagree with me. That's immediately a part of some of the feeling of it from progressives and liberals. And what I think has happened too is that often Black leadership, and this is up at the highest levels, has done a terrible job of being at the forefront of the conversations. They have ceded a lot of power to people like Pelosi and Schumer and all these people.
They go along to get along.
Right. And so it's not unusual for white liberals to feel like we're here to speak for Black people. We're not seeing anything new. It's just expanded into the common conversation.
Right. It's nothing new. And the reality is, if you look at how our participation in civics has always gone, white liberals have always been our master. And I use that word because I was trying to piss you off, because it's the truth. They used to be called abolitionists, and they would be the face of treat us right. And we would be in the back saying, because we had to be. Because we had to.
Yeah.
So now that we don't have to do that anymore, they are still in that position, or at least they think they are. They think they know best for us. And so as our mentality changes towards, you know what, we don't need y'all no more.
Or not like that anyway.
Or not like that. That's better. Thank you.
The problem is our leadership isn't prepared.
Well, hold on, let me finish. They are still in that spot thinking that they know what's best for us.
Yes.
And part of knowing what's best for us is them analyzing the situation as the way it is and saying, come on, man, we used to have water hoses, or we used to openly lynch y'all, or we used to have y'all enslaved. And so because racism does not look like that anymore, that is why you have a lot of them who will look at how you had a black president, what you mad for?
Right.
That's how they'll say, well, you got all of these millionaires and billionaires, what you mad for?
Right.
Never mind the fact the wealth gap from the average person, the person that you actually talking to, is actually widening white and black and those millionaires and billionaires for the most part. And that's not to say that the entrepreneurs that bust their ass don't get to be in this conversation. They certainly do. But those billionaires and millionaires they talking about are making us all laugh and all, cheer and those types of things. And so, yeah, that is the mentality. And, it takes someone who puts themselves in the situation that you in for them to be able to say, you know what, maybe I should defer to someone who's living this, as opposed to offer my opinion. It's almost like, not almost, I would defer to you, Steph, as a woman, when you have these rooms of men who decide what happens to your body.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm not a woman, and so I could be sympathetic to how asinine that is, but I don't live that.
Right. And it is very much like that. That's a great example of it, because people don't often understand that, how they equivocate with one another, but they absolutely do. It is having a room full of men making a decision for women's health in any way is not going to ever work out to the benefit of women, because they're immediately coming from a standpoint of, one, totally misunderstanding or not understanding or not comprehending not just the health aspect of things, but the emotion attached to it. You swing that pendulum and you come to issues of race. If you have a room full of white people making decisions for black people or being the mouthpiece for black people, but they don't have the lived experience, there is no emotional element to it. It's like you can empathize, but you really can't feel my pain. And if this doesn't go the way you want it to go, you're still going to sleep at night. You can say, wow, I can't imagine if I was Trayvon Martin's mother, that must feel so bad. And then someone like me could be like, oh my God, I could be just like Trayvon Martin's mother. Like, I could have that real experience. So it's never going to make sense for the leadership of Black thought. And I feel this way about people like Tim Wise, who speaks out, who's an anti-racist speaker, and co-ops a lot of the words and language that Black women are putting out there. And he's making a lot of money being a speaker for Black rights, so to speak. And he really is only regurgitating things that are coming from a lot of Black women.
But
you
know what that is, though, right? It's because their ice is colder than ours.
That's it.
Not only is their ice colder, but he's also a man.
Yes.
And they don't want to hear it from you.
Absolutely.
But I'm going to tell you something, though. I have an appreciation for the Tim Wises of the world, because it puts a different face on the words that need to be said. Right? Now, I'm not backing him. I'm not even. I would much rather listen to what's it got? Tahani Coates.
Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Yeah, Ta-Nehisi Coates and others like that.
Mm-hmm.
The young
Mark Lamont Hill.
the guy from Britain with the dreads. What's his name? The young brother.
Oh gosh, he's just been popping up on the scene.
Yeah.
Well,
y'all know who I mean. And the women and any of the loud voice I would love to hear, right? But because we got to remember that we're in a racist society, right? They're not going to get the volume or the spins that Tim Weiss is going to get. So if he's regurgitating that and is getting more spins and is getting more volume, I'll take that rather than not having it.
I'll be clear on something. Great, sure, speak up, but it's kind of like if Marcus has a platform and he's out there speaking loudly, but I know that my platform is larger, then my responsibility is not to co-opt his voice, but it's to bring him into my platform and to give him the exposure. And what Tim Wise is doing is co-opting the platform, also making a lot of money. There's a lot of money being made. He
100%.
He is brought in on a lot of things, but he is not including the voices. I've also seen Tim Wise in conversations on panels where he will often overspeak a person in the room, a person of color in the room that's on the panel, and that's not your job. That's not your job at all.
You know, I found that every opinion has someone that looks like the adverse opinion to speak on their behalf to try to bolster their position. And so for Black people, and there are many of us who like Tim Wise, who appreciate Tim Wise. I happen to be one of them, you know, because I know that there are rooms that he can go in and say the things that he says that we can't go in and say the
He's our
things,
Candace Owens.
you know, and that's where I'm going. You stole my thunder by saying that, because
Sorry.
that's exactly where I'm going. You got your Candace Owens, you got your Warren Williams, you know, there's this.
Except he's actually saying things that make sense. Candace Owens is
But-
not,
but-
but she is saying, she is speaking for those people.
But for the
them.
for the
She's
purposes
co-opted
for,
their
for,
voice.
for the purposes of the point that I'm making, she speaks for them,
Yeah,
and she can get into rooms that they aren't able to get in.
right.
You know what I mean? Like, as much as we may look at Candace Owens and roll our eyes at her, she can slip into a room and start a conversation, and there'll be people in that room who don't know her. But the minute Tim Wise walks into a Black room, you know what it is.
You know who he is.
You know,
yeah.
you know what it is. You know who he is. And so every community has their own version of that. We'll go with Candace because she's the one that's the easiest on the tip of the tongue. But there are others. There's certainly others, just like there are others.
Oh, and you're seeing a lot of them pop up because
what's
they're
the
anti.
What's the white woman from many years ago that would do the
Jane.
experiment? Jane Elliott.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Jane Elliott was a precursor to your Tim Wise.
And there are people who feel the same way about Jane Elliott as I do about Tim Wise. I really don't have a problem with them being present. I only feel that now that it's your money making venture, you have a responsibility to incorporate the voices that you're co-opting.
Is it a know your place type of thing for you with them?
No, because it's not that they're not saying anything that's not real
Okay.
or relevant or valuable. It's just that you literally are plagiarizing someone else's voice, but not giving them any space in the platform. And I do find that problematic.
Is there value in the fact that he can say what John and I may not be able to say in rooms? Now, what John and I are going to say we want. That's not
White
what
people
that's
don't want
not
to hear Tim Wise
not what I
any
mean.
more than Black. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Black people like Tim Wise more than white people like Tim Wise.
Well, Black people like Tim Wise because, you know, he says what we've been saying.
Right. And that's my point.
And
We've
we're
been
looking
saying-
at a white man say it. So there's some visual gratification, like,
but see, I
oh.
don't feel any
yeah,
gratification.
but you
in it.
have a unique intellect.
No,
and
but I think
perspective.
what my problem is with it, and while I do I appreciate that he's willing to say it. I guess if appreciate's the right word. I think my bigger issue with it is that one, he needs to include other voices, and two, at some point we need to have an expectation that we don't need them to speak for us in order for it to have value.
It's like that white
so
artist.
at what point do we stop saying we need a Tim Wise and start saying,
Let me play the devil's advocate with you,
Good.
both of you, because I want you to respond to this, John. I want Steph first, but I want you to respond to this, John, too. Why did Tim Wise need to do that? And let me just say this. I agree with you, but I'm gonna play the devil's advocate. Why does he need Black people on board with his message? Can he not speak his truth as he sees it without there being, you know, because see, here's the thing, you know, we want folks to rock with us, but we want folks to rock with us our way. You see what I'm saying?
well, they want us to rock with them, but they want us to rock
Exactly.
with them their way,
Exactly.
you
And
know?
every once in a while, there's gonna be an outlier who's gonna just do what they're gonna do.
And I don't feel like he's that.
Okay, and that's what I'm getting at. So
Yeah.
does he get to go in this room, speak the truth the way he sees the truth, without bringing Black folks to sit on the dais with him to bolster his to make it look like we are behind him in his message. Can he just go out there and say what he wants?
I mean, sure, he's doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just, it's just that there's a lot of his work that is truly co-opted. So that's where I really struggle with him.
Right.
If he was like, it was all it's all your original lyrics. It's not you're not covering it. Go right ahead. But if you're gonna cover it, give credit to the artist.
Gotcha.
And I feel that
There's some plagiarism going on.
I've seen it, and I guess because we are, as a people, are a commodity. In every decade of these United States, we have been commoditized. Whether it's black bodies and black booties, or using us from a standpoint of sports and how we become a commodity there. We are now a commodity in the Black Lives Matter space. It's not even chic anymore, right? The trend was great last year. They were plastering it on every wall and every aisle in Walmart and everything else, and you're buying up all these things because we support Black Lives Matter. And in 2021, it's like, who? So my feeling is we have to get to a point where we stop being the product for someone else's gain. And I see Tim Wise consistently utilize a lot of the language and words that Black women have been put out for his own gain.
John, with Steph just said something that just kind of struck a chord with me. There are some Black folk who shy away from Black Lives Matter because white folk done and took it, and now we don't really embrace it. Like with me, and you raising your hand. So I definitely want you to comment on that. I'm gonna say this, and I want you to jump in here, right? Because for me, from the very beginning up to now, Black Lives Matter is not an organization. It's never been an organization for me, even though there are people who founded the organization. I don't view it as an organization. It doesn't move me that there is an organization. For me, it's a philosophy. Black lives absolutely matter. If you told me, hey man, my mom just died. Well, shit, I got a mom too. I would sound like a terrible person if I said that. All moms matter. You sound stupid. You sound insensitive. You sound like a terrible person if you say that. But you have legitimate Black people who agree with the philosophy of Black Lives Matter who will never utter the phrase. To that you say what? And respond to that and then make your other point.
Okay, so here's my thing. It's a bit ludicrous as a ideology to me, because in context where those words have to be spoken, you have removed all doubt. So Black lives don't matter, because if they did, we wouldn't have to have the slogan. So we adopt the slogan, and in a subtle way, we justify or acquiesce to the fact that they don't matter because we're willing to make it a slogan, right? Of course, Black lives matter because all lives matter, right? So to me, the proper phrase would have been Black lives don't matter. And what are we going to do about it? Black lives don't matter, because that's what we're trying to say, right? So that's
the
like,
real truth,
right? So that's like saying, that's why I can never get into that, because it seemed like something too easily exploited and just changed, and I never agreed with it. As far as the Tim Wises of the world and that other point with the other question, to me, they're like the white R&B artist, right? That's what he is. It's like, oh, I didn't know he was white.
Yo, hey, I'm gonna let you make your point. But that's a mic drop analogy, because that's a
really
excellent,
very point,
excellent,
right.
Excellent
So
analogy.
There was I
get it immediately.
There was a comedian when I was coming up, and I knew him casually. I think he's still around. His name was A.G. White, right? And the whole thing about A.G. White was his name would go about 30 minutes into his set where he go, people would be like, "Oh, what are you like, Puerto Rican? Are you light skinned?" He like, no. And somebody from the audience would go, "Hey, G White." And that's how he got his name, A.G. White. So, so yeah. So that's the kind of thing that the 10 Wises are to me, right? And I can have an appreciation for it. And I don't know if I had this conversation with you, Marcus. I had it with someone. I don't mind the white R&B artists if I believe that they are genuinely performing the music that they want to perform, that they're not just performing the music that they feel they can get paid to perform, right? So certain artists is like, if they weren't going to get paid, they would still do this kind of music. Right. And there's some artists, if there was no money in it, there's no way they would be doing this kind of music. So with that said, it's like
Pink.
Right. But Pink admitted it. She was like, listen,
that's not the music I wanted to make.
This is what LA wanted me to do, so I did it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I got a chance to do what I wanted to do, here we go.
I ain't sound anything like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, if it's not a gimmick, I'm with it. I don't know where Tim Rice falls with it. I don't know where Rock Newman.
I want to be clear. I don't feel like
I don't know where Rock Newman falls with it.
I think with Tim Wise, I think it's legit.
Yeah,
I think what you see
the
is
Elliott
what you
lady
did
is
with him.
legit.
I think they're
she's
both.
legit.
I think
Jane
they're both.
Elliott.
I think they're both legit. I'm not one who has researched and vetted and all that kind of stuff to the point where I'm reading all of their stuff. But I'm also someone who's been a pretty decent judge of character for my entire life, and I can read somebody and I can feel when somebody's full of shit. And I don't think Tim Wise is full of shit. We could have our heat with how he goes about his business,
and that's all.
And I respect that. But I think that he is legitimate in what he says, and I'm invested in him being legitimate in what he says, in the sense that the things that he says I agree with, and I also like the fact that it's a white man saying the things that he's saying, because I've always said that racism is a white people problem.
I agree with that.
This y'all shit that affects us.
We didn't create it.
We didn't create this. We suffer from it. So I've always said, create the world you want to live in. I steal that from my brother K-Dub. I always give him credit when I make use of that phrase, but it's the truth. You create the world you want to live in, and you manage your life in a way that those types of external things
you minimize,
don't affect how you move. And when it comes on you, you deal with it. You prepare for it, but you deal with it. I don't live my life worrying about what white people think. I don't worry about my life worrying about what black people think. Right. I do what I do.
Right.
And I think that everybody, white, black, or
that
otherwise.
Statement, I would love if people would realize most women don't live their lives thinking about what men think. Like I truly am not waking up in the morning like, is this gonna be flattering?
And see, I love that you stopped me there.
Men do the opposite.
I love that you stopped me there. Here's why
everything we do
here's why
based
I love
on what y'all think.
Here's why I love that you stopped me there, because it's awesome that and I hope this doesn't come off the wrong way, but as a sister, you got a double whammy because you black and you're a woman, right? And so as a man, I've heard it said that black men are the white people of black people.
True.
As convoluted and as crazy as that sounds, just break down the words. You understand what I mean by it. I didn't coin the phrase, but I've heard that phrase. So here's what I'll say to that. When you said that as a woman, you don't move worrying about what we think.
I can't.
You absolutely can't. You absolutely can't. But at the end of the day, when you got to share the world with people who are so powerful, not powerful in the sense that they can affect you,
well,
but
they're the dominant part of the power structure
in your life, it's difficult sometimes to move around that.
I don't disagree with that. And it's just that I can't consistently make decisions. There are some areas in my life where it's immediately, this has nothing to do with anybody with a penis.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to wear this because I'm thinking about you, and I'm not going to not wear it because I'm thinking about you. I'm just going to do me.
Right.
I'm not going to not put my makeup on. I'm not going to not decide to wear a weave or whatever. None of those things because of you. Now, when I get into the spaces that I'm in as an entrepreneur, as a professional, then I am thinking about it because I'm in a space that's primarily male, primarily white, which is sales or business consulting. And more often than not, if I walk into the room and it's a room full of other consultants, it's some kind of seminar, I am a double minority and a very, very small representation in the room.
And you stick out.
And I stick out. And at that point, I'm more conscious. But what I'm more conscious of is how I allow those people to engage with me.
Right.
Rather than, am I going to be a different Steph
So you
than
put a boundary
I
up.
typically am?
You put
Well,
a boundary up.
and really it's how you approach me. I'm already in a position of control because to me, I know something you're not willing to admit, and it's that you think I'm inferior simply because of what I was born with under my slacks.
And what I look like.
Or what I look like, or the fact that I'm a woman. So I'm immediately, for me, very confident, but not willing to change because I acknowledge that walking in the room, okay, I'm probably going to be dealing with a bunch of dudes today. They're pretty much one trick ponies. I'm going to get the same thing. It's the same broken record over and over and over again. When you're a woman in a professional space, it's like, okay, men are going to do these things. They're going to do these things. They're going to do that. Okay, great. Got it.
Right.
And at that point, the only movements I'm making are I'm parrying. I'm fencing with you because I know where I stand in this space walking in the door. Other than that, I'm not really going in thinking I better be super friendly and pretty because that's not, for me, it's not going to be relevant.
I'm glad that you made that point, John. I'm glad you made that point, Steph. John. As a man that has a daughter, you're a man that has a daughter. Do you find that how you raised her or are continuing to raise, because we never finish raising our children, even yours is grown. Do you find that as a man, you raise her in a way that you move unaffected by that kind of external thing? And here's what I mean by it. As men, we often would see our sisters dress a certain kind of way. In a respectful moment, I'll say dressed a certain kind of way. But I'm talking about provocative, right? Eye-catching. And we often would think that's about us. Oh, she trying to dress for us.
I prefer other women like how I look.
Well, but see, that's where I'm going. That's where I'm going. Because it's been said to me, they don't care what we think. They do that for themselves and they do that for each other. And so, speaking on top of what Steph said, how she has to move in that kind of environment, do you find that when you raise your daughter, did you raise her conscious of how she moved, or did you just put confidence in her head? You know, because there are some folks that'd be that don't wear that, that's not right, or that sort of type of parent. And as a man, particularly as a black man of a shapely daughter, we know how we move, and we know how we think, and we know what we're looking at. You know, I've tried to, and I'm just speaking, I'm asking you, and I'll just say real quick, I've tried to avoid even doing any of that because of what you just said. Because what I don't want is for her to walk into any room self-conscious about how she looks. I want her to walk into that room not worried about that, because it's other shit to worry about. You shouldn't go. I don't go in no room worrying about what I look like. So I'm asking, as a black man, did you have those kinds of things in mind when you were raising your daughter?
And a little bit. Mine is different. Okay, and you can appreciate this. My daughter's mother is an English-born Jamaican woman, right? Their way of being dressed in all occasions is different. I'll just leave it at that. So I didn't have a lot to do with that, but I always knew my daughter would be a big woman. I mean, just in general, because, you know, her mother's 5'8", you know, I'm 6'4", So
She's
you
gonna
know,
be a tall girl.
yeah, she's 5'11", and she's heavy, she's thick as a girl, and I knew that would be an issue for her, but I just always tried to give her the confidence of being secure in herself, secure enough to do whatever she wanted to do. And then my daughter coming up, she got into rock, like hard rock, grunge, and she had the sleeves and the black gloves and the earrings and the mascara and the black hair and all that stuff. So she did her own thing, and she was always cool with doing her own thing. I never had that issue with her. Her sister, my stepdaughter, was my daughter to me. It was a little different with her because she was very, very attractive young lady. She looked a little bit older than she was coming up, and she was tall and shapely. And there's a little bit of consciousness in that, like hey, but her father was very involved too, and we both kind of double teamed it a little bit about wear what you wear to be comfortable, but also know that you draw attention, right? We're gonna already tell you you're above average, and we're not just telling you that because we're your fathers. We're telling you that because it happens to be true. You're 5'9", slim, brown skin, very attractive, shapely young girl, right? You don't need anything extra to draw more attention because all attention is not good attention, right? So dress comfortable, but know how old you are, understand what that means, right? And already know that you're going to get all the attention you'll ever need. You don't have to do any extra.
Ain't no half step on Marcus J live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. We getting some love from our favorite listener as we always greet her together. We say to our sister,
Good morning, Sue.
I love doing that. I swear I love doing that. It's one of my favorite
I
parts
just
of the
like
show.
to picture her smiling.
Yeah,
I don't know.
she ain't
Maybe
gonna
she
smile.
no. I don't know.
Nah, but her non-smile is a smile.
It's a smile. Yeah,
yeah, she ain't gonna smile,
yeah,
but
there's still
Smiling
love
on the
there.
inside.
smile on the side. Yeah, I gotta get y'all all in the same room with
Yes,
Sue one day
yes.
and whatnot. Sue's
Someone's here.
Sue,
Some chickens in the backyard.
Sue was concerned about you, Steph. She sees the shades. So she wanted to make sure that
Thank you, sis. Thank
you're
you.
good. That
Yeah, I feel a lot better than I have. So thank
Yeah.
you very much. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah,
Appreciate
so
the love.
fam takes care of fam. So and how Steph Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy and that radio. All right, so this is still on the table. We're gonna move on to some other stuff. I got a whole agenda that we had written out, John, Steph, but there was a story that just came up. I showed Steph while you were talking, John, and I'm gonna bring it to you because you don't know that I'm about to bring this up. And damn it, I can't see. This whole I asked about glasses. When you get older, the glasses
Get you some
thing
little
turns
readers.
into a
You
whole
had to hit the thing
turns
and let the drawer pop out.
you
You find the right
yeah.
glasses.
Thank you. Yeah. Does that make you Grady or the fact that you knew that?
That
Does it
he's
does it make you Grady
This
or
is the
Bubba?
Grady to your no. This is your
I don't know. I
your
don't know.
Fred and your Grady.
Yeah,
No, I'm Skillet.
you skillet.
Slick Skillet.
I like Rollo.
Rollo,
He ain't Fred Man.
Rollo
No.
is one of the greatest characters ever created in the 70s.
I tried so hard to make Rollo stick as a nickname for my son.
Oh, for real?
I did. I wanted it to
It
be
wouldn't
his
stick?
nickname. My ex-husband was not having it.
Do you guys before we go on?
You got
do it
Ready
real quick.
Freddy.
Do we do Ready Freddy, Shady Grady,
Shady Grady,
uh,
Slick Skillet,
Slick Skillet,
and
Leroy? What is it?
No.
Something Leroy.
no, it's Bubba. It's Bubba.
Well, but it was 5 of them. When they whole crew is together, it's 5 of them. It's
Yeah.
Fred, Grady, Bubba,
Skillet.
Leroy, and Skillet.
Skillet, right?
I can't remember Leroy's nickname. Leroy was the one always had a big
Skillet.
grin on his
Yeah.
face like this. So, and
And
anyway,
then left out Lamont.
yeah, right. And he was with Rollo, and Rollo was scared of Aunt Esther.
Of
Whenever
Aunt
Aunt
Esther.
Esther would be around, he'd
That's
be
because
like,
Rollo had a record.
yeah, he did. So, all right. All right, so this is one as we laugh, we don't want to laugh too much about this one because this is timely. It's breaking right now. Cashier dead, 2 wounded during argument over Georgia store's mask policy. So coronavirus has reared its ugly head in a different kind of way. A cashier is dead. 2 people were wounded after shooting broke out following an argument inside a Georgia store Monday afternoon over its COVID-19 mask policy. The incident took place in DeKalb County when Victor Lee Tucker, 30, entered the store. He was wounded in the incident, got into an argument with a cashier about wearing a mask when he was checking out his items. Tucker left the store without making his purchase, but immediately returned inside, walked directly back to the cashier, pulled out a handgun, and shot her.
Wow.
Obviously, there's more to the story, but for the purposes of time and let's get it purposes, let's get it. Because honestly, as hurtful as it is for me to see that, I'm surprised it ain't happened sooner.
Hasn't it though?
It probably has.
Yeah, I think so. Like in a Dollar General or something, 2 girls jumped a man, and somebody ended up dead or severely injured. I mean, you're right. It's surprising that more of it doesn't go on. Yeah, people are over it. Not that it's right in any way.
We also seeing, John, we can put this both on the table, round table this real quick, get back to our agenda. But they're doing stories now about people getting it on airplanes because you're on an airplane and you got to wear a mask, and now you're not wanting to wear a mask. Now you want to fight. Now, I just flew. I got on 4 flights between here and Vegas. You know, I flew to Charlotte to Vegas, Vegas to Charlotte, Charlotte back here. So it's 4 flights, and every single one, I wore my mask from the time I got to the airport on the curb to I got to the airport on the curb.
Right.
And then coming back from the time I got to the airport on the curb, that's through walking through security, that's flew through the flight, that's through the layover, however long it takes to chill, get on a whole nother flight, fly all the way back. So you figure from here to Vegas, a straight shot is 5 hours. You know it's longer than that when you're dealing with the layovers and stuff. So I got this raggedy ass, uncomfortable, cumbersome mask for 6-7 hours.
And for some reason,
and I was in my feelings
feel
about
hot in an airport. I never feel like they're cool enough.
It's not comfortable. I get it. Can't shoot somebody, John.
Okay, so I'm gonna break it down. I'm gonna break it down.
You sound like
my
you about
opinion.
to justify it, man.
No, I ain't. Listen,
did you see that? You saw that, right? You saw that, right? You sound like you about to justify it, man.
You saw me, I immediately like,
man, come on. All right, let me. We gonna lose all right quick. I ain't got the head to do like you just did, but I'm gonna do my own thing. All right, John. Go ahead, man. What you got, man?
Do you?
Here's my thing.
He's responsible for his words. Thank you very much.
Yeah, here's my thing. There's no justification for any kind of violence. I'm believing violence. It's just not. It's a negative reaction spared by a negative emotion, and all negative emotion is born out of fear. What are you afraid of? Right. So obviously, this man was afraid of having his power being challenged, and so he had to show his greater power and do it in a violent way. The whole thing with the mask is ridiculous. I wear one when asked to wear one, so I don't have to have a conversation about wearing one, because I think it's a dumb conversation to have for 2 reasons. One, if you take 7 zeros and line them up and put a 1 behind it, if that's the percentage of chance of me not dying from a virus because I wore the mask, I'll wear the mask. It's a no-brainer, right? I don't care how small of a chance it is. If it helps that infinitesimal bit, I'm going to wear it. Full stop. Do I always think it's necessary? Do I think people will find anything to just, I remember going up to New York last year when it was pandemic central, right? And everybody in New York had made their mask a fashion accessory. People had whole outfits with the mask matching, right, in New York. That was the thing.
Let me stick this right in there.
Okay.
Sue has 2 quick comments I want to get in. One, she said, "You mean above average size, John?" She's going back to that. That was a comment from a little while ago. And then she says that she has to wear her mask for her 10-hour shifts of work.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
she's
Yeah. So listen.
responding to-
Listen. I get it, but here goes the thing, right? I have conversations with my son all the time, and I try to explain to him that the moment you believe that you can correct someone else's behavior, you become equally wrong.
Yes.
Right? Go ahead and let the fool be a fool. Don't get in the fool pool with him trying to explain to him why he gonna drown. Just let him drown. That's it. And that's the problem. People always want to start trying to correct other people.
I do agree with
Right?
that.
Just listen, sir. We don't want to do massing. Look, okay, sir. Sorry to bother you. Step back, close your counter, call the police, and let them deal with it. You in the zoo, let the zookeepers handle the animals. Why are you trying to handle the animal?
No job's worth it.
Listen. If somebody want to argue, let them argue by themselves. Let the people pull their phone out and tape this man yelling at nobody. Right? Just get back, go someplace else, call the police, and let them come deal with the fool. That's my opinion of it. If you sit up and get into an argument with somebody, I done seen it too many times. I seen people get out their cars and walk out. I saw all these videos. Walk up on somebody. He got the car, the jack in his hand, and as soon as he get up on the dude shoot him. Blow. Now he's stumbling back to get in his car. Well, you came up with that. That was your idea.
Yeah.
You came up with that.
But the other problem too is a lot of these retailers are making, because you see these videos all the time. A lot of these retailers are making the staff responsible for telling someone put on the mask and so on and so forth.
Oh no, I can suggest you can suggest it, but you can see that's another thing. People say certain things all the time, and I often find myself correcting people. And I used to do it a lot more than I do it now. People say, "Sir, you have to." I'm like, I don't have to. I don't about have to. I'm quite sure you would like me to, and it might be mutually beneficial for me to, but I don't have to. We don't got have tos. From Brooklyn, we don't have have tos.
There you go.
We don't.
Man, cut that from Brooklyn shit.
Hey.
It's the truth. I'm just sorry. We don't do have
to.
to.
Is tired of you, Brooklyn. People,
Whatever. Whatever.
Except me.
Listen. We don't do have tos.
I think
don't
in any
have to.
situation,
So it's like
someone you shouldn't tell someone what they
don't
have to
tell
do.
about
Just
how
let it ride.
Just make the suggestion. Listen, this is the policy. This is the policy. This is what's going on. So this is what we would like you to do.
But you know what makes me sick? It's always the pro-police law and order crowd that want to buck everybody's system. True. Don't fucking come here without your mask. If I got a sign on the door that says don't come in here without a mask.
Right.
You
believe in law and order.
And now you want to shoot somebody?
But no,
you want to kill a cashier?
Let me give you the problem with
really?
that. Let me give you the problem with that.
That is crazy.
This is who I blame. No, this is who I blame directly. Let's start with your president and his staff and the whole World Health Organization, right? You're gonna tell people you don't gotta wear vaccinated. You don't gotta wear your mask if you're vaccinated. But how about even before that? If you have upper respiratory problems, you're exempt from wearing your mask. So now I was never told that I have to present my medical record. But if I go in a store without a mask and they say, "Sir, you have to put," excuse me, I have asthma, I can't wear the mask.
So get out.
No, I'm exempt.
Get out.
I know, but see, now you're breaking the law.
I'm not.
You are.
Not if it's private property.
No, but there's no
not
such
if it's
thing.
A business.
No, there's no such thing. That's why you have to make gay wedding cakes.
That's not.
It's the same thing. It is the same thing. You cannot
Sue me.
You cannot select.
But as a
You
business
cannot
owner,
listen.
sue
No,
me.
you cannot.
As a business owner, I got a right to rock with who I choose to rock with.
But then that's like
You can
segregation.
you can
I don't want no black people in here.
You can refuse. Yeah, true.
Right.
True.
Listen, wait a minute.
You can refuse.
Wait
You can
a
refuse
minute.
service
Don't
to anybody
listen,
you want.
listen. Do not get it twisted.
It's a slippery
I
slope.
agree with
and
you.
It's a double-edged
Wait a minute.
sword.
Wait a minute.
I get
Don't
it.
get it
But
twisted.
it doesn't change what
But
I'm saying.
But listen to me. Don't get it twisted. I agree with you. We're not even gonna argue about your point.
Okay.
Your point is valid. I agree with it.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is,
move on to that. Okay.
this is where the problem is.
Okay.
Right? If you don't have specific guidelines, right, and talk plain to people, you're gonna have this kind of problem, right?
I will agree with that.
You had to say if masks were mandated by law, right, without no ambiguity, but that's the problem again.
But it's
But this is the
dishonorable people.
But how you gonna do that? We a dishonorable nation.
Well, that's what I'm
The
saying.
whole country,
I don't agree with
the whole
honest
country,
system.
the whole country is corrupt and jacked up, and they know it, and they did it intentionally for this kind of stuff to happen.
Honestly think
Mass confusion is the hottest thing smoking.
I honestly
Because they
think
could have easily made it much more simple.
that word that you just used, mass confusion. I think that as a country, America, it's in the DNA for us to be divided. It's in the DNA of our country. It's always going to be.
It got put there.
Yeah, obviously it's obviously. I mean, it's the way it was created. I mean, the reality is you're going to always have those left-right swings, and those of us in the middle is looking around like, why are these people acting so fucking stupid? We all feel that way in the middle. You know what I mean? I'm not no Democrat. I'm not no Republican. Here I am arguing with, people who are one or the other, and they all crazy to me.
But guess what? Most people are moderate. They just don't know it.
Because to me, I am a natural moderate. I'm a pro-black man who thinks that black people should be treated like everybody else. I don't think that we better or worse than nobody else. And until that happens, you're gonna hear my mouth. Period. But that doesn't mean that white folk don't get to be proud to be white.
And nothing to be proud of, though.
But hear me what I'm saying. Hear what I'm saying. I'm one of those people that everybody gets to be who they is. Period. If you want to be black, if you are black, you're black. Be proud. If you white, be white. Be proud. If you straight, be straight. Be proud. If you gay, be proud. I'm good with everybody doing them. But there are certain things that we all got to do to make sure that we all are good. And one of those things in today's world is if you're going to come into this business where all them people who I just mentioned might be here, you don't know who's in here. So if I own the business and I got a sign on the door that says to protect everybody, you got to put on this mask. Don't be an asshole about it. Because if you want to be an asshole about it, it costs you nothing to pay me no mind. Step.
Or go somewhere else.
Step.
Yeah.
Go somewhere else. And I'm going to give you a point. But Sue says Brooklyn's in the house.
Thank you, Sue.
Go ahead, John.
So here's my thing.
I gotta meet her.
Here's my thing about what you just said, right? And I take a little bit of an exception with it because
let's get it.
I don't think white people get to be proud because they don't got nothing to be proud about. They can't find anything to be proud about.
And
wait a minute. And wait.
Discriminatory in itself.
So be it, but it's truth.
It's not true.
Find me something proud about.
I'm not white, so it ain't for me to say.
So find me a white person with something proud.
And that's the problem. It's white people who would tell you the same thing.
No, because I can find it.
But we were talking about earlier about if you are not a part of something, then you don't get to be the one. Like white people, this is how we started.
But we
started this conversation
but here goes the
about
thing.
white liberals not being able to say what black folks go through because they don't know.
Well,
you as a black man, you gonna sit here and tell me that white people can't be proud to be white?
Yep, and I'm
not
I can break
pro-white.
it down.
I'm just saying I'm one.
Let me break it down for you.
Live and let live.
That's the problem. And I'm going to tell you why that's the problem. Because there's a false equivalency. The idea that we are somehow equal within the country is ridiculous. And it's a false equivalency. The whole thing is, thank you. The whole thing is this, right? The only reason we have white people, the only reason we have the term white people is to hurt black people. That's the only reason they exist. The idea of white people only exists to cause pain and suffering to black people. So there's no person who can say, I'm a white person and be proud about it. Their whole existence is for our destruction.
I just don't agree with that, man.
But it's truth.
No,
it's not for you to agree with. It's
not,
factual.
It's not factual.
Hold on, are you being,
It is.
Are
It
you
is
saying
not
the
factual.
terminology,
The first-
John?
Because
The
you
first
agree with it
time-
and you feel
no,
strongly about it doesn't make
I'm gonna
factual.
prove it to you. The first time anybody was ever called white in the whole world was
I
in
know,
16.
I know all that. I know all that.
So
history.
the idea of a
I know
white,
all
the
that
idea of a white person is an American
they
concept
created they
designed
created
to hurt black people.
I got you.
So if you stand up and say you're a proud white person, especially if you say you're a proud white American, right? That means you proud to hurt and destroy black people.
That's just
And that's nothing to be proud about.
I think that-
And that's the problem. Nobody wants to face the truth because it's so ugly. Because it's so true and it's so ugly. And we got to,
But you know,
these white people,
but you
we
say
really
that.
can't listen. I'm
Nah,
sorry.
nah.
They're all
nah.
not evil.
You know why?
They're all not bad.
You know why that argument?
We gotta stop.
You know
we gotta
why
stop that.
you know
we
why
gotta
that-
stop it.
You know why
We
that
gotta
argument?
stop it.
You know why that argument is flawed?
Whether they choose, whether it's intentional
You know why
or
that
not,
argument
whether
is
it's
flawed?
accidental, whether it's because it's just a ancillary effect of a situation. I'm not blaming anybody directly, right? I'm not going to Jim Johnson's house and blaming him because he's a white man. No, I can't do that. I don't know that man. I don't know his stride. I don't know what he goes through and all. That's that man. But when we're talking about the idea of white people, same thing I said about the police. I'm not talking about one cop. I'm talking about the idea of policing. The idea of policing is racist because it was designed as a racist tool and it's continued to operate as such in the history of this country, in the history of policing. White people was designed as a racist tool and it has continued to be one for its entire existence. And until we are willing to sit down and accept those facts as they have been documented, we cannot go any further.
Here's where
We're trying to bury the truth.
Here's where you lose me in that argument. And I'll just say it really simple. It's people that Harriet Tubman would have left. You know why? Because they didn't deserve to go. You know what I mean? And here's what I mean by that.
No, I don't know what you mean by that.
Here's what I mean by that. Every single black folk, every person, all kinfolk ain't your skin. You see what I'm saying? So every single white person doesn't fit.
But I'm
into
not
what you
pointing
said.
out every single white person.
I got you, but you're talking about white supremacy. If you're talking about the thing of white supremacy, then I'll understand.
That's all there is.
But everybody doesn't fit into that.
It doesn't matter.
Every single white
exception proves the rule.
Every single white person doesn't fit into that.
It doesn't matter that they fit into it. It's the fact that what we go back to the original thing was, if a white person can stand up and say that they are proud to be a white person.
So what are these
right?
people are supposed to walk around with their head down and not be proud to be who they are just because their ancestors did some fucked up stuff?
No, it's not about their ancestors. Because it's still going on today.
Okay, but I got you on that. But there's stuff going on today with us that we ain't doing nothing about. So we can't be proud to be black.
But listen, no, wait. No, I'm gonna tell you what the difference is. The difference is because we can go through history, right, and find some things that don't include murder, rape, destruction, and oppression. White people can't go through history and find anything that they accomplished that does not involve genocide, murder, rape, destruction.
I think that is
they
so
cannot
extreme.
find one thing.
I can't agree.
Find
with
me
you on
one thing white people can claim that did not involve the utter destruction rate of another civilization. I'll wait.
I think it's so
one thing.
Extreme, John.
But it's
hold on.
true. I still haven't heard the one thing that
But
white people have accomplished that didn't involve destroying other people. I'll wait.
She'll go ahead.
So my point is that that should not be, because I don't necessarily agree with the fact that I don't agree with that's the determining factor. I don't, because if I did, I could also start to go back historically and break down very much the same way about some of our folk from different.
I'm talking about the entire white race.
But I just don't agree.
What have they done that did not involve rape, destruction, pillage, hurting violently other people.
And if you go to the continent of Africa, you can find the same thing with our own people.
But we have things that we accomplished that did not involve
And
that.
so did they.
So do they.
What? Name me one.
Come on, man.
Name me one thing that they have accomplished that they did not steal,
So,
right?
So it
Or
matters to
that they
you
did not
if
kill and
they-
destroy.
It matters to you if they did this, if for them to accomplish things on their own continent, and I'm talking about in Europe. If they did any of those things to their own people, because I would care less. If they wanted to, if the Vikings went and tried to establish themselves in the United Kingdom and they raped and pillaged and did all of that in their own societies, I don't think I care about that. That means nothing to me. It's irrelevant to me. It doesn't harm me. It doesn't harm the history of my people. I just think the problem for me becomes, and I certainly don't cape for white folks because they don't cape for me.
No, not at all. No, not at all.
I think the problem with it for me becomes that when we make such an emphatic statement that, especially in a modern statement, that a certain group of people have nothing to be proud of, it immediately becomes a divisive non-starter.
Well, we need to be divided. We can't come together until we properly divide
and what's that going to how's that going to benefit
that's the
you?
problem. The problem
how's
is,
that going to benefit
here's the
you
problem.
or us?
We were never properly divided, so we can't ever come together. That's
So
the
you
problem.
like separate but equal.
No. I like separate, come together separately, and then come together.
It's not realistic.
Well, guess what? Then
it's not.
Then
realistic.
it's not realistic to expect or have any kind of ideology of the falsehood of good white people.
That's just not a productive, realistic argument.
Listen, it is, and I'm gonna tell. And again, I'll tell you why.
Because you know as well as I do that there are going to be some white people that you come across in your life that would treat you better than some of the black folk
I've had them.
that you cape.
I've had them.
So you've had them.
But wait, that's not my point.
I know that's
you
not your
keep
point.
jumping.
I
you keep jumping off of this is the thing, right?
Your argument is a white supremacy argument that I understand, but you also have to understand that while white people came to this country and did what they did, only 10% of them own slaves. 10%.
Yeah, but see, that's not relevant.
The rest benefited.
But listen,
but
that's
10% owned the slaves.
But that's not relevant.
So of that 90%.
No. See, that's the
Why?
whole slavery
Why
misnomer.
Why is
People
it not
like
relevant?
to throw slavery because it's not relevant. You know why? Because the first slaves who were here were white, right? The first slaves were white,
servants.
right? And when they first brought blacks here to mix with the blacks who were already here to make more slaves, they were indentured servants. It wasn't until they began to rebel and have the first slave rebellions that they decided to separate them, right, in such a way where they made the indentured servants foremen and the black slave chattel slavery, which changed. It changed the ideology and the way things went. It took slavery from the Caribbean, which was far more harsh and child, and they brought it here. Right?
Let me just simplify it. I'll simplify it, right? Because I understand what you're saying. If you look at the history of this world, you look at all of the stuff that has happened in all of the places that have been colonized, they've been colonized in the most terrible, violent, vicious manners, and it's been almost always white people. I can dig that.
But that's new history. That's another thing. Don't get it twisted. I'm not necessarily mad at white people because they're just taking their turn.
Well, let me just finish this point. While that part may be true, I am not one that is okay with casting a negative or positive aspersion on every single group just because you got some folks in that group that did some terrible stuff. While I understand and while I enjoy singing "Fuck the Police," I know a lot of them that ain't people that you want to say that to. I just do. I know them. They in my family. They in my friend group. I know some. Just like I know some black folk that I wouldn't want to be around y'all because they terrible. I know some white folk that's some great people. So understanding what you're saying, you're talking about the social construct that led us to where we're here. But what I'm saying is every single person that was around during that time wasn't supportive of that. So I do not think that it's okay to cast that aspersion fully on any group at all.
Okay.
Now, if we're talking about the social construct of white supremacy, it's a whole different thing. That's something that we all need to deal with. Us, including white people, need to deal with that, because I also said earlier in this show that racism is a white people issue that they need to do. Get your boy,
Get
yo.
your people.
Get your people, yo. Get your boy. But black people that you don't want to be around.
Okay, but see, listen. Fine, full stop on that.
Okay.
Let's get to this and what I really want to get to on this, right? You have a white person, right? And this is a white person, right? You have a white family. That's a white family. That's not who I'm talking to, because I don't know them. I don't know their individual story. I don't know what their truths, beliefs, and ideologies are, right? And I won't speak on them, right? What I'm speaking about is the idea of white people, the ideology of the existence of white people.
Well, then you're basically saying
right?
what?
So now listen.
Marcus is just breaking it down, being more clear.
But wait. Hold on. You got to let me finish this. It is because I've given you the facts. But again, it is fact that there was no such thing as a white person before 1691.
No.
That they constructed the idea of white people solely
Race is a social construct.
right,
yes.
solely to hurt black people.
Yes, race
That's
is
it.
a social
That's a fact.
construct.
So now, here's what I'm saying. I don't like the term black people. I feel equally, if not even more so, about the term black people. We just throw it around because it's what we got. Right? I don't like the idea of being identified as a color that doesn't exist. It's actually void of color or void of light. Right? I don't want to be recognized as that. I don't like the negative connotation that comes with it. Right? So the idea that we're going to identify ourselves according to what we've been told to be identified as pisses me off. Right? When you go back to the idea of the N-word, when you go back to the original ideology of the N-word, it's king. Yeah. Yeah. Not that. Even Egypt. Oh, wait. Okay, listen. Wait. No. Listen. I'll have wait. No. Right, but there's also an NG. There's no vowel in it. NGR, right? Which was translated from ancient Kemet, that meant king, right? So there's constantly been that phraseology of Negas, Nigar, all that NGR, those sounds coming together represented royalty. And the idea of the slave catchers saying we captured your N-word was saying we captured your kings, we got you, we won this war, right? Listen, I have a whole listen.
Sounds great.
Listen, it sounds great, right? but there's a whole. Yeah. I have a whole hour long program. I'll send it to you that breaks down the old words, the ancient words, and how they come about and how they're translated. But wait, again. But here goes the thing. But here goes the thing, right? We're always, and this is why we lose every war that we've been fighting, because we're gonna fight by their rules and expect to win. We're going to accept the terms given to us by them, use them for ourselves, and somehow think we're going to come out on top. Right? Mm-hmm. The word is bad because we said it, because we called you that and meant something bad about it. That means the word is bad because we said so. Nah. Yeah, I decide whether or not a word is bad. And if I decided, that's for me. right? It's not for you to decide. Same difference. Don't say that I'm black because you're white, because you want to have that designation on yourself to give me another designation. I'm supposed to accept it and use it. No, again, this is the constant situation we're dealing with. I'm tired of bending the knee for these folk with the idea that somehow because we can speak eloquently in the King's English, it somehow makes us better. It doesn't. It means we were conquered because we can't speak in our own language to make the argument. And we won't ever ask them to speak in our own language to make their argument. We'll speak to theirs. So, and all of that goes back to the same argument I'm saying about white people. Same thing I'm saying about police. I'm not talking about individual cop trying to have a job and feed his family, do the right thing, and maybe serve the community. I'm talking about the idea of policing and the way it's set up and the way it is implemented to this day is racist. Full stop.
Ain't no hashtag on Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy Internet Radio. I think that's a good spot to put a bow on that. Let's go ahead and move on.
With a bow.
Huh?
I said anything with a bow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Pardon
Always
the pun.
Always gonna
listen.
Yeah, that's a good.
It's
spot.
always better with a bow.
It's always better
with a bow. That's
All right,
right.
you got it. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy Internet Radio. All right, so let's transition. Let's talk about something different. Steph, I want to talk about Kevin Strickland. This is a dude that's been in prison for a very long time, and he should be home.
Yeah.
Lead us in this discussion. Let's talk about it.
So Kevin Strickland is imprisoned in Missouri and has been since 1978 for the murder of 3 individuals. He has from the very beginning. Now, he was convicted with 2 other people. There was one survivor of this mass shooting that ID'd him. He went to prison. From the very first moment that they accused him to this day, he has never, ever copped a plea, said he did it. He has fought consistently and said, I'm innocent of this crime. So he's convicted in 1978. So he spent 43 years in prison in Kansas for the murders in Kansas City. The big part of that is now the only witness to the crime has come back and said he did not do it and that she was pressured by the police to accuse him of the crime. Number 1. Number 2, the 2 individuals who were supposedly committing the crime with him are out of prison and have been out of prison for a while, and both have said he had nothing to do with it. The prosecutors who prosecuted him for the crime have now said that he was wrongfully convicted. There's an ongoing list of individuals who have said Kevin Strickland is not responsible for this crime. The governor of the state of Missouri has decided that he will not hear the story and that it's no more important than the other 3,000 people who are seeking clemency or saying that they didn't commit the crime, and he will not push him to the front of the line. He legitimately has heard everyone from the prosecutors to the witness say that this is not the man who committed the crime, and yet Kevin Strickland still sits in prison in Missouri as a convicted murderer when it is clear now that he never was. As a matter of fact, he said while the crime was going on, he was at home watching TV and speaking on the phone with his girlfriend. They said that his fingerprints were on the car door. What it turns out is it was a friend of his whose car he had driven plenty of times. There was no other evidence other than the witness who ID'd him, and now has come back and said that he didn't do it. Governor of Missouri decides that it is not the most pressing or important case right now, and Kevin Strickland will continue to sit in prison until the governor decides to look at the case. He has been consistently approached by this. News reporters, the legislators for the state of Missouri, tons of people, Republicans and Democrats. And the Republican governor, I think his name is Mike Parson, has refused to hear the case. This is just one of many individuals. And by the way, they still allow the death penalty there. So you have that problem as well. Not that Kevin was convicted and sentenced to death, but you have that problem as well, where there are so many people who are sitting wrongfully convicted, not being heard, not their pleas not being heard. It was only a month or so ago that the individual that they executed was found that his DNA wasn't even associated with the crime. He had consistently pled his innocence. And now here we sit with Mr. Strickland, 62 years old, almost 63 years old, and not being able to be heard after all proof has come out that he's not the criminal they thought he was. What say you, John?
I say this: the fact that we do not have to say that Mr. Strickland is a black man just so goes more to prove my point, because this kind of thing don't happen to white people. And the fact that the man who got the death penalty and was found innocent, no one is being charged with murder, are they?
No.
But they committed murder.
I would agree.
They had intent to kill that man, and they killed him.
But also in that case, they are not acknowledging, they do not believe that he was innocent. The governor and all said a jury of his peers found him guilty, which, by the way, in this case as well, the governor, Mike Parsons is saying he was found guilty by a jury of his peers.
Okay.
What do you want me to do?
Here's what I want people to do. Right. And this is an unrealistic expectation. I know it is. Because normal is stupid in my book. You have smart people, you have dumb people, and you have normal people. Normal people are stupid. Right. The idea that a person can be proven innocent but remain guilty because a jury of their peers, who were not their peers, I guarantee were not their peers, right? Said
not
so
in 1978 Missouri.
I don't care if it was 2022, which ain't even get here yet, Missouri.
And he been in
it would
for
be
43
the same.
years. He's 62. So was he 19?
He was 18 going on
Yeah,
19.
okay,
those
okay.
ain't his peers.
It's murder. listen.
No,
It's
right.
it's murder no matter how you slice it. Even if he's not dead, he's been killed. He's been murdered. Yeah. Nobody is being held responsible for it. Why? Because let's go back to our earlier topic. Black lives don't matter, right? The laws have been written, right? Things have been done, and they consistently are being supported by people who we are told we're supposed to trust, right? We still can't get the anti-lynching law, anti-lynching 2021. Yeah. So we still can't get that to happen. All these things go to say, listen, Black people, know your place. Your lives don't matter. And anytime you need a reminder, we will show you. We will show you so much that we will put it on TV. We will make it available on the internet for you to see just how much your lives don't matter. So be careful what you do, because we will get you too. And that's what it comes down to. And again, these same good white people who we like to big up and try to act like they doing something right, they not. Because they know what's going on, and their voices are suspiciously quiet. Right? Biden knows about this. Well, he can make it now. He can make it stop.
So I also want to ask, so that we don't become one-trick ponies on it, what would we like to see changed? Not that the point isn't relevant or valued. What would we like to see changed within the system that can be done immediately? I know what I would like to see, but what would you brothers like to see changed with the system that you think will prevent this either from happening or make it right when it does?
Non-biased, unidentified criminal justice. And what I mean by that is, let the crime be represented by the crime that was committed and a number, not a face and not a name. Let the law be applied fully as it is. We have the World Wide Web. Every part of law is available. You can punch in the crime, you can punch in the evidence, and the computer can spit out what happened without identifying the individual as black or white. You could do that same thing and present it to a jury and let them read it. The name be John Doe, Jane Doe. Or not even Jane, because that's gender bias. The name be Doe. Or name not be a name. Person
A, person B.
number. This is what they did. This is what we have that proves what they did. And this is them. This is what they say they didn't do. And this is what they have that proves they didn't do it. Base your opinion on that. And let that be criminal justice. Because that's the only way justice can actually be done, because just supposed to be blind. There's no way they should know that that's a black man sitting there. And there's no way the white judge or the governor should even know anything about that man's color or anything like that. All they should know is the evidence that they have.
I agree with that. That's implicit bias, just by virtue of me knowing who you are. It's like when you have someone that applies for a job, you see the name, you put it right in the trash. I know people personally. I know people personally who have told me that they have done that. So I can dig that. My only caveat is, that's a fantasy world, because we know it'll never happen.
You know why it never happened?
We need to talk about something that's realistic.
But you understand why it never happened?
But I agree with you.
But let me tell you why it never happened. It'll never happen because the people who plagiarized this Constitution and stole it from the Iroquois people, black people who were here before they got here, right? The idea of this government that they set up, right? It's not theirs. When they put it together with things, right, that would make the common person feel a part of the situation and give those people with means ways to circumvent the same laws that they set up and entrap people without means. And it's been working that way ever since. It's not been changed from day one. From day one, Jefferson, Washington, and the whole lot of them, all slave owners, the biggest slave owners there were at the time, the men of power, constructed this to work for them and their offspring forever.
Yeah.
And it has not been properly amended and changed in any way.
And it's not going to be.
And it's working perfectly.
It's not going to be. It's so, none of this is a conspiracy.
Right.
It's all a plan.
Right. So now, when I say, going back to my other thing about how people say, oh, it's better now than it was. Is it really? Or did it just change its appearance?
It just looks different.
Right?
And it just looks different, and it's being filmed now.
Right. It's
been televised.
And what it is,
the revolution is legitimately
being televised.
Being televised.
The effect is different. So yeah, we have more visible, wealthy black people. But again, the wealth gap is larger.
Oh yeah, it's getting
and black
bigger.
people suffer it more. The relative household income is lower. The incarceration rate is higher. The unemployment rate is higher. The black family wealth is lower. Everything is worse except for the appearance of those who would be doing well. We get to see that more, and it's more of them relative to the number of people there are, but it's worse for everybody else.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's all worse based on racism.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I agree with that last part. I mean, racism obviously is a huge part of it, but I think classism is as well. Because if you're a poor white person, you get to be just as black as I am.
Oh no, but you got a white out, because you can get a shave and a suit and go somewhere and be a white man.
That's true. And which is the essence of what white privilege is all about. Because when I talk to white people about what white privilege really means, it's not that you have an easy life versus my hard life. It's just that your skin color hasn't been made. It doesn't make things harder for you.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you might have a hard life, and I respect that, but it ain't harder because you got a skin color issue.
Right.
So that's what white privilege is all about. And I think a lot of times we miss that, or they miss that.
You can argue with the police.
You can argue with the police.
But
you can be a black lady with your music up loud going slow as hell. But then, you're going to get those situations that come up, like the white lady, the pregnant white lady, a week or two ago, who put the hazard lights on when they put those red and whites on behind her, and when she didn't pull over fast enough, they pit maneuvered her ass and her car flipped.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Oops.
So that's an example.
And she
that you'll be given.
literally was like, I read that this is what I'm
This is
supposed
what
to
you're
do.
supposed to
And
do.
when you see the guide, the DMV guide, it says that you should put on your blinkers and drive slowly to a safe location. She
and
tried
when the
to do
cop
that.
on the dash cam walked up to her in the car upside down before even helping her, he
was
asked
arguing with
her,
her. Yeah.
why didn't you pull over? And she said, I was going to, but you can't. You rode up on me too quick. She was trying to. So I guess the point that I'm ultimately trying to make is I agree with you, but there's always going to be those outlier examples that they're going to be able to present to say, well, it's us too, and you and I
prove the rule,
and we know
and
that's
we know what it is. You know what I'm saying? Nothing is 100%. Nothing's 100%. Some stuff's 99%, but there's that one, and sometimes that one is going to be all they need. But the reality is, I don't want you to think that I disagree with the general premise of what you're saying, because at the end of the day, when we look around the world and we look at world history, pretty much everything that really bad and all of the countries that have been taken over and all of the really, really heinous, terrible things have happened at the hands of white people under the guise of white supremacy. But where you lose me is where you say, or where you argue, that individual people do not have to have pride in the overall group that they're a part of, because that is hard for me to accept, because everybody should have some pride somewhere.
So here's what I will say to that, sir. You can have pride in yourself and your achievements and what you've done, but I would warn you, right, against hanging your hat on a group, and I will give you Republicans, right? If you want to hang your hat on the party of Trump, right? What's the key? What's the key? What's the key word?
No, you don't.
What's the key word?
You don't get to say what's the key word.
Used to, yeah.
No, but the Republicans have always been the Republicans, and you only 53.
Right, but you know what?
Their history hasn't changed that much.
No. Listen, here's the deal. When there's one thing about wanting small government, right? Limited.
This is not addressing the point, man.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It's 100% is.
Okay.
Okay, let me do it.
Okay.
There's one thing with wanting small government, right? There's one thing with wanting reasonable regulation. And there's one thing with wanting states' rights, right? And there's one thing of recognizing color of law. These are all Republican ideologies. And along with that, basic health care for everyone. These are all Republican ideologies, right? Then there's a difference in saying white power and Jews will not replace us, and making that the slogans of the Republican Party, which it isn't. So it's slogans of the Tea Party, which took over the mantle of the Republican Party, and now it's the Trump Party, right? I can't be a part of that. I cannot be willingly associated with that. So I say, right, be proud in what your beliefs are and who you are as an individual, but be careful of where you hang your hat, right? And like I said, I'm not talking about Jim Johnson and his family. I don't know him. And that man might be very proud of what he's done and the way he raised his children. He might have good reason to be proud, right? But when you say, I'm proud to be white, with your fists up in the air, you sound like a proud boy.
I hear you. I just think that I think everybody should have pride in who they are. And
yeah, if who you are is a white person, you need to think about that.
I got you, but what are you saying? You saying that all white people are supposed to go around and not have any kind of? I mean, there is this thing of what you're saying, and there is a lot of merit to what you're saying, but you got a lot of white people And I feel silly as hell defending white people. I can't believe you put
I
me in a
got the
position.
perfect. I got the
I
perfect
can't
answer.
believe- I
Wait,
can't
wait, wait,
believe-
wait. No, no, no.
I
I got
can't
the
believe
perfect. I got the perfect.
you-
Wait. Let me
I can't
save
believe
this.
you
Let me
put me in
save
this
this. I
position.
can
That's why I've
save
been
this.
so quiet.
I
Because I'm
can
like, I
save this.
can't.
I'm
I
so
can
mad
save.
at you right
I can
now.
save this. You know how I can
I'm
save
so
this?
mad with you right now.
Let me
salvaging this.
Let me
John.
save this
Sick,
for
man.
you.
I'm so mad at you.
You know what we're
right
dealing
now.
with?
What we dealing
We're
with?
dealing
man?
with.
You make me
We're
sick
dealing.
right
We're
now.
dealing
Can't
with.
stand you.
We're dealing
Talking
with.
about bondage.
We're dealing with.
Yeah.
We're dealing with terminology, right?
We
And
need to
that's the
talk about
problem.
bondage.
We're dealing with terminology. And here goes the problem. I'm trying to express to you all of what is wrapped into white person, white people. There's a lot of things wrapped into that, right? So all I'm saying is, right, as an individual, you have a right to be proud, but you might want to take some time and think about what you're saying you're proud of. That's all I'm saying, right? And when you say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud, you have taken some time to wrap your head around surviving through suffering and prospering through oppression. And that is where that idea comes from. So the opposite of that, when you're in this country, which is what we're talking about, and somebody says, say it loud, I'm white and I'm proud, you're basically saying you're proud to be a part of oppression, destruction, rape.
I hear you, and
that's what I'm saying.
I hear you. That's a difficult point to debate and argue, but at the same time, again, to fully, I'm gonna make this last statement on this. We're gonna move on. I'm pissed off at you for putting me in a position to have to defend white people. Let me just do that. Let me just say that. But having said,
I don't got nothing against them individually.
but having said that, I understand your argument, because your argument, even though you have not used the word, and I've used it a few times to kind of dispute your point, but ultimately I'm not really disputing your point in the sense of what you're talking about is the philosophy of white supremacy. That's what you're talking about. You're talking about white
But that's
supremacy.
all there is in this country.
But and that's true. And that's true. But where I find myself defending people, not white people, just people, everybody don't agree with that. You know what I mean? And just because a person happens to be like, just because I'm black don't mean I follow Farrakhan. You know what I'm saying? And just because I'm black doesn't mean I love Barack Obama. You know what I mean? There are certain things that, based upon your community, that it is going with the group to support. Everybody's supposed to love Barack Obama. I love Barack Obama. I love what he represents. As far as his presidency, we can sit here and we can debate that back and forth. As a white person, I'm sure that there are plenty of them that see no problem with the basic tenets of white supremacy. So if we're talking about them, I got you. And I understand your logic behind they don't have a whole lot to be proud of with regards to that. But again, I find it difficult defending them because I'm not white, just like it'd be difficult to defend certain arguments with regards to women's rights because I'm not a woman. So the passion isn't there. But I also have intellect enough to know that if I really sat here and thought about it, there'd be some things that if I was a white person that I could say, you know what, this is pretty cool. You know what I mean? It's pretty cool to be part of every demographic. If we focus,
if you're part of it.
If you focus on the worst aspects of everything and everybody, then of course you're gonna face palm me like you face palming me right now. But that, we're gonna have to agree to disagree with this, and in the interest of time, we do need to move on.
All right.
But I would love
somebody find me something good that white people have done in the last 400 years.
I would love to continue this conversation because I do think that it's relevant. And I would honestly, I would love to bring a white person in here, but they usually too scared to come in here.
Please, any white person in the sound of my voice,
they think we're gonna attack them. I'm
we
shocked.
will not Joe Madison you
I'm
unless
shocked
you do something crazy.
that they would think that based upon how the rest of this conversation has gone. Ain't no how Step with Marcus J. Live from the den. Legacy in that radio. Steph, can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead,
How
bro.
many bonnets do you own?
You know what?
How many bonnets do
Why
you
you
own?
doing this?
Because I'm doing that. I'm doing it. How many bonnets do you own?
I own
Just give me a ballpark number.
2.
Okay. How many of them do you wear to the store?
0.
So this conversation that we are having in our community right now about the bonnet thing that started with Monique talking to her sweet babies.
She need to stop, but go ahead.
She's talking to her sweet babies about the bonnets. And apparently some sisters are really, really, really not for the shits when it comes to her right now.
Yeah.
They're
I'm
not for the shits
with
when it comes to her. And this is one of those conversations where, you know, we can go ahead and wet up the messenger. We can wet that messenger up. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Wet the messenger up. But
she's an easy
she's an easy target.
That,
She is,
that's
you know,
the easiest part of the
she
conversation.
showed up talking about people wearing bonnets in her night clothes. So she's an easy target. She didn't make it easy on herself.
She has overexposed her marital relationship, which some people would say is not respectable.
She has definitely put herself in a position where it is difficult for anybody to receive this kind of constructive criticism from her. Having said that,
is it constructive?
I think it is. And that's why I said it, because I'm not one that likes to see that. I don't want to see you in your night clothes in the store.
Close your eyes.
Well,
look somewhere else.
And this is why we brought it up.
And you had this one.
And this is why. And this is why.
A few weeks ago.
This is why we
a few
brought
months
it up.
ago.
Now, here's the thing, right? While I am someone who has an opinion on a lot of stuff, I'm also someone who, for the most part, keeps those kinds of opinions to myself. And
right.
The only reason that I'm even talking about it is because it came up and it has become a conversation in our community. John, we're gonna get you.
Okay.
It has come.
I feel
up,
like Horseshack right now.
Yeah, just get, because me and Steph gonna do this for a minute.
Good.
Oh Lord.
The only reason why I'm bringing it up is because it has come up in our community and has become a conversation, not just in our community, but more just, you know, specifically to us, but a bigger conversation.
Sure.
I'm not okay with certain things. I don't want to see your drawers, bruh. Pull your pants up. You know what I mean? We don't need you to go buy special underwear just so you can sag. You know, they do it. So I'm at least consistent with it. I don't think that nightwear and homeware is something that's appropriate for outside. That's just my opinion.
Sure.
Now, am I going to roll up on the brother and tell him to pull his pants up? Nah, I'm not doing that. Am I going to roll up on the sister and tell her, girl, you need to go and put on some real clothes and, you know, I'm not doing that, you know, because it ain't my place to do it. And quite frankly, I don't care enough. But when the conversation came up,
it's heated. We got to talk about it.
And I got an opinion. And my opinion is present yourself a little bit better than rolling out your house. And for me, it's bigger than the bonnet. Like the bonnet to me was just what caused the conversation to come out. But today, just in my work, in my workflow today, and I work outside. I'm not in the office in the cubicle. I work out. And I was out. And today, knowing that we was going to talk about this tonight, I seen a sister in my usual vocation, and y'all know the kind of job that I do that I don't share publicly. But y'all know what I do. Y'all know what I do. You just for real. You got on the house pants and the flip flops with the fur and shit on them. You know what I mean? You know, I can see. You know that even though it's 90 degrees outside, that you know you're a little chilly. You know what I'm saying? You know, I'm just, you know, I know that I come with some traditional chauvinistic tendencies. I know I do, and I have to own that. But having said all of that, it's not a gender thing for me because I just came for the brothers too. So having said that, you got the con. Tell me why I'm tripping.
You know, and then I'm not necessarily gonna say you're fully tripping. There's a time and place for everything. Right. And we do have to understand that there is some positioning. A bonnet doesn't work for me because it doesn't work with my brand. And that's just plain and simple. And I'm conscious of that. You know, it's no different than, you know, but there might be somebody who would say, well, why does she wear a bow all the time? Everybody has their thing. Right. My problem with the bonnet is I don't see it the same as, you know, boxes or pants that are sagging. I don't see it as the same thing. And when I hear the argument, and I'm using Monique because she positioned it a certain way. When I hear the argument and the discussion about bonnets, the unfortunate part of that is that Black women are a consistent source of conversation for non-Black women or people who are centering respectability politics. And there's all of these elements that are attached to it. One, this belief that all of a sudden there's some greater form of respect because you do or don't wear a bonnet. There's none. There's also the perspective that it says something about you that I don't necessarily know. It's not my business. I don't know what it says about you, you know? And the fact that for Black women, there seems to be this overarching argument, in spite of the fact that statistically we are head and shoulders above most people in this country when it comes to education and entrepreneurship. There seems to be a significant focus or significant desire to whittle us down to hair, makeup, nails, what we're wearing, and bonnets. And it's consistent. I don't hear the same amount of voracious conversation about the level of education we have. I don't hear the same level of conversation. As a matter of fact, when we start to talk about Black women and the successes we have, then we have this argument of, yeah, that's why they're so independent. There's just not a lot that Black women can do without people having an opinion or a desire to tear us down. Do I wear a bonnet out in the street? No. Do I care if that sister decides to do it? No. Is she hurting me? No. Is she representing all of Black America and Black women? No. You know, Monique saying some of the things she said, what I thought was interesting is it's those bonnet wearing girls that were ready to fight for you when people didn't want to give you your money. And there were a whole bunch of people saying, well, she's ghetto and she's this and she's that. And that's why Netflix doesn't want to pay her. It is too easy to paint Black women a certain way. And a bonnet is just another tool for that. And so that's why I don't stand by the argument of, because you're not saying it because you really care about someone. You're saying it because, as usual, Black women are the punching bag. And that's just, my perception of it.
Ain't no #Steppin Marcus J, live from the Den, Legacy in that radio. Let me get a couple of comments in. Let's see. Latrell is checking in. Peace to you, sis.
Hey, Latrell.
Peace. She says, dress with respect, not like you just got out of bed. Plus some look like they are confused. Slippers, shorts, sweatshirt, bonnets, makeup on, question mark.
And nobody's telling Karen to take her messy bun down.
Actually,
or not coming to work with her.
We are.
Please.
Because for
corporate
me,
America, all the time, I've seen wet heads. And I don't see a whole lot of Facebook statements about coming to work with your wet dog smelling hair. I don't see it.
You know what's funny though? This argument has been, again, this was one of them things that as a man, I stay out of until it becomes a pop culture thing where, you kind of get licensed to talk about it because it's kind of everybody's talking about it. I had my opinions about this a long time ago, and it started because I'll be honest with you, I feel like I seen white women doing this long before I seen our sisters doing this. You go to the store, we used to joke about it. We would joke about it, but now that it has become a conversation around the bonnet, that has brought it to us. And so now we talking about it, but this ain't about sisters for me. Now, as a sister,
unfortunately,
that's
how it's centered,
and I know that it's personal for you as a sister. But for me, as a casual observer, I'm like, man, all y'all look whack.
But
and it don't matter who it is.
You're not representing the majority of the argument or the conversation.
Okay.
When there are pictures being taken, first of all, I'm not a fan of someone photographing other people and making them the butt of your jokes.
And then putting it on Facebook.
And the pictures that circulated and that created this conversation, it's not of white women. The other thing is that there is a significant, we love to use the word respect. We love to use the word respect when determining how someone should be dressing. The fact of the matter is, you can play all the respectability politics that you want. You're still going to be a Black woman walking in America. Yeah, I'm a Black woman. I'm dressed like this today. Someone might say, oh, well, she's showing too much of her body. And it's just always something. Respectability politics is also funny because it's a myth. We have never been at the top echelon of who's considered more respectable or worthy of respect. not when we were wearing pillbox hats and Donna Reed style dresses, and the men were in suits and ties. They were getting shot down, sprayed with hoses, attacked by dogs, and everything else. The other side of that I think is very interesting when it comes to respectability politics and everything else is we romanticize the past. I have seen so many lies about, well, my grandmother never would, and my aunts never would, and so on and so forth. You can go as far back as Moms Mabley and all the men who were dressing as Black women way back before I was born. And what were they doing? They were wearing rollers and bonnets and everything else. This has always been a part of housewife culture and comfort culture and everything else. Now, you can say you don't like it. I can say it's not for me. But let's not act like this just popped up and that your granny never did it. It's no different than people saying marriage isn't what it used to be. And there are people out there that could have 14 aunts and uncles, and you don't have the same, and they don't have the same mother and father. Marriage was never what you thought it was. Right. Time has, every single decade, every single element of time has included its outliers, or has included the things that we don't see as top of the heap. We've always been a people that is represented by a broad socioeconomic range, right? And belief of behaviors. And that if we do, we've always had people who believe if we do this, white people will accept us. And we've always had the people who were like, I don't care what white people accept or not. At this point in the game, if you're still talking respectability politics, telling women how to look and things like that, I want to know what you really think is going to be gained for it. And if you think something is gained by it, do you? Let her do her. Do you?
Yeah.
Black women don't need more Black women piling down on each other. We got enough going on. Right. But you know what? Praise me for all these degrees. Do that.
I can dig it. I can dig it. Ain't no how Steppin, Marcus J, live from Dan Legacy in that radio. John, I got one more comment. Sue says it was a time when you couldn't go to the mall without a clean outfit on. Now I see way too many pajamas, fuzzy slippers, and pants hanging down. So,
it's the culture. It's culture in general.
Yeah.
It's culture in general. It's time in general. Everything has changed. We really like to, because we as Black people, we like to think of ourselves as this monolithic little group who's moving together, but we are a part of culture. It's no different than when Juicy Couture came out and all of a sudden walking around in a sweatsuit became comfortable. There's a downward slope to everything, right?
Yeah. But Juicy was cool though.
Yeah. So we think, right?
Yeah.
Because it looked a certain way.
Yeah.
But Juicy Couture, dumb it down a little bit, take it off a runway, throw a cheaper material, and it's Fashion Nova and Shein and all this other stuff. And that's what you're seeing.
I think
it's
there's
just
something to be
the
said.
decline of fashion and how people got comfortable, what people are comfortable with.
John, I think there's something to be said for those of us who are a little older, who have seen a lot more, who have an opinion about how things used to be, because how things used to be isn't always a bad thing. And what's new and what's acceptable now isn't always a good thing. Now, those of us who have learned to just mind our business,
it's free. It's free to mind your business.
I mind my business. I host a talk show, and so I talk about stuff. So I'm talking about this. I talked about it in social media when it popped up, because that's what you do as a talk show host. But as a citizen, honestly, I see it in the stores and the malls and stuff, and I have my own thoughts, and I just keep it moving, but like everything, John, we have opinions about stuff.
Sure.
Even if you don't express it, you have an opinion about stuff. This happens to be a topic where our opinion happens to be talked through, because we're talking about it. And so, do I think that a sister who's wearing a bonnet is any less valuable than a sister who shows up in that same store dressed like she going to the club? Absolutely not. I don't think that one is valued over the other, personally. Having said that, I'm just one who thinks that it is more appropriate to be publicly seen in a more I'm losing the words of what I want to use, but I just think that you need to be a little bit more presentable than showing up in a public place looking like you at the crib when it's just you and your family there. And I think a bonnet and house pants and saggy pants are inappropriate. Period.
Are y'all sure y'all want my opinion on
Well,
this?
yeah.
I already know what
you,
your opinion
you don't have to be aggressive, but you can go ahead and make your point. Your point, because the fact that whenever somebody does that, then
You already know.
they're about to go
Yeah.
in. So you ain't got to go all the way in, but make your point, brother.
All right, here we go. I feel, I don't know if it's unique, but I'm old school, right? And I'm guilty.
Shocker.
I'm guilty of some of what I'm going to express right now. I believe people should dress appropriately, right? And that's a blanket term, but it's real easy. We live in a society, right, where we have private and public areas. In public areas, right, people are going to see you. You're going to be seen by others. So I believe it is a part of your personal responsibility to not offend others, right? I may feel like how I feel about what we just talked about, white people and race, but I'm not going to wear a t-shirt that says white people ain't got nothing to be proud of, because I might offend somebody with that in a public area, right? I'll speak on it because I'll offer my opinion, right? But anybody who doesn't want to hear what I have to say, they don't have to watch the show. But if I'm out in public and I'm walking around, right, I could offend some people. So I'm not going to do that. When this whole bonnet thing became an idea, a whole thing, a subject matter, I thought about Bugs Bunny and Red Riding Hood, and the wolf dressed up as grandma. Oh, grandma, what big eyes you got? And he had the big bonnet on in the house. So anyway, I say all that to people. People are going to do what they want to do, and that's like people who get the tattoos all the way up their neck. I don't know where you're going to get a job besides Spencer's or Hot Topics, but I don't know who else is going to hire you with You got a shirt in the town. I can see the tattoos coming up your neck. But to each his own, right?
I'm not saying there aren't repercussions for it either.
Right. So now, again, if you're walking around in the street and you got on a bozo nose and some big floppy shoes and the wig and everything, and you're a clown and you're just walking around and people taking pictures of you and saying, yo, look at this clown, right? You can't be mad because you wore that outside, right? So if a girl or whoever is walking around in the street and somebody decides that you look like a clown and they take some pictures of you and post, look at this clown, you had options. And I was hoping that you had a mirror, right? But that's that person's opinion. But again, you're in public.
But they might think something you're doing in public is
absolutely
right.
That's what, and that's why I will suffer that, because like I said, I'm guilty. Because guess what? I don't think that men should wear athletic shoes unless they're going to play sports. But I will put some sneakers on. I'm guilty. I don't think men should walk around in dungarees unless they're gonna go break some Broncos.
You just said dungarees.
You sound crazy,
right? But listen,
you sound crazy as hell right now.
Man should have on a pair of trousers.
Yeah, you tripping.
Right?
What you talking about?
And a jacket. And a jacket. Yeah. And he shouldn't leave the house without a hat.
I have a hard time believing that you actually believe what you're saying.
Yeah, okay. Okay, listen.
I mean,
I'm old school.
Yeah, come on.
Listen, I'm old school. I believe
you ain't that old school.
I am.
No.
You wear
John,
I just said that.
We have
just
too
said
many
I'm
private
guilty.
conversations.
I just said I'm listen.
Yeah,
I just said I'm guilty.
That old school.
Hey,
listen, I just said I'm guilty.
You lost me, bro.
I am guilty. I'm not saying I'm not guilty. I'm guilty of it. But I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you right now. We are too accepting, right, of abnormal behavior and calling it normal, right? Just because it can be made into a meme or something like that. I believe that underwear is meant to wear underclothes since the name underwear. I remember last summer women walking around in men's underwear outside. Thought it was cool. You could see everything because they got these men's boxes tight on their stuff and you can see everything. right? In these tube tops. Thank you, women, but it's inappropriate, right? I'd rather you not do
Don't
that.
forget to thank them.
I did. I did. But I'd rather you
Your
not
face
do it.
just now.
I'd rather you not do it
Thank
because it's inappropriate. To be honest with you, I
I
don't like
You
men out
take
in
a
the.
bonnet and you're making
Look.
it something totally, or I don't know.
I'm
I mean,
saying
I-
all of it.
I
I'm
get
saying
the-
all of it.
I
Like,
get the
listen,
slippery slope.
I see
that
people.
he
I
getting,
see
but it's
men. I
too
see men
far.
outside with no shirts on, and I'm quite sure a lot of women appreciate it.
No,
Right?
it's it's not usually somebody is looking
But-
like what I want to see.
But
anyway.
but even if it is, I'm saying it's inappropriate, man. Put some clothes on. You
Yeah, but
outside.
it's you know,
And I would love a society where women
It's
would
u-
walk
it's
around with no
usually-
shirt on. But guess
it's
what?
usually phase on love walking
inappropriate.
around with no shirt and not Idris Elba.
Not in the
It
hood.
definitely ain't Idris Elba.
In the hood is the dude that just got home and he's getting a set in on the don't walk sign, and he's all ripped up because he ain't got nothing else to do with his time.
Ain't no half
But
step,
somebody give him a shirt.
ain't no hashtag Marcus J live
A
from New
mess.
Den Legacy and Radio. All
A
right,
mess.
so
All right, y'all.
let's get a couple of comments in, and we're gonna take this home. Let's see, a couple in here. All right, so Latrell says everything is either the I just got out of bed look or show off as much of my body as possible. I see it in high schools all the time. There's a difference when you know how to dress appropriately and you're running out the house real quick. For some of these black females do not know how to dress at all. The bonnet, the PJs, the slippers are their norm. This is coming from a black woman. She says, my younger co-workers think that wearing yoga pants and a dress shirt, a dress that barely hits their knee, and high heels over the knee boots is appropriate for work. Meanwhile, the girls are wearing shorts so short that they look like they're wearing just a shirt. The whole dress code is jacked up. For the guys, a pressed t-shirt is not appropriate. Sagging pants, underwear, showing wife beaters and slides is not a good either. So, I think it ends up being, and I'll take the last word. We're gonna move on and end the show here. I think what it is, it's a matter like everything that we talk about. It's just a matter of your personal preference. Get in where you fit in. I am one of those people. Again, live and let live. If you want to roll up in Walmart or Target or Kroger Spot, because if I'm gonna say Walmart and Target, I gotta say Kroger Spot. I didn't mean to say that, but I gotta throw it out. I gotta say Walmart,
Or
Target,
Pitts.
Kroger Spot, the Pits, or I gotta say
Pig and Brew.
Pig and Brew,
Mama J's.
Mama J's. There you go. Southern Comfort. If I'm gonna do that, then I'm gonna do that.
Gotta give it all.
You gotta give it all. But Brewers Cafe.
Brewers Cafe.
Yeah,
Big up to AJ.
If I'm gonna say all of that, but anyway, it's
Very
a matter
Ashley,
of your-
Stony Point.
Yeah, very Ashley at Stony Point. If you are going to have an opinion, then you're going to have to deal with the folks throwing stones. At the end of the day, nobody cares about your opinion. They don't care. We can sit here and we can talk about it to y'all and we can make our comments back and forth. But the reality is the people who are wearing the bonnets don't care what we think.
True.
And that's okay. It's
If
really,
they did, they
it's-
wouldn't do it.
It's really okay because at the end of the day, again, live and let live. I got no problem with these people doing what works for them, but they gotta have no problem with me having my unsolicited opinion. And the only reason why my opinion is even made public is because it came up. I usually keep it here because at the end of the day, what you eat don't make me shit. Ain't no how Steppin Marcus J live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. All right, so at this time of the show, we always make sure we go through a moment in Black history. Let me just make sure I clear out if I got any more comments in here. Let me see. Okay. As an educator, we're supposed to be preparing them for their future, professional and otherwise. Somebody has to care. Latrell continue. That's her.
I don't
her
disagree
comment.
in a
And-
school
See what the
environment.
teachers wear?
and I don't
Some of the
necessarily
teachers
agree.
are inappropriate.
I'd have had perfect
I
attendance.
definitely agree. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from New Den Legacy in their radio. All right, so moment in Black
We
Black
had old
history.
Jewish ladies.
We've got, let's see, this week we've got 1967.
Good year.
Loving versus Virginia. U.S. Supreme Court strikes down unconstitutional law in 16 states that prohibits interracial marriage. Hey, white people and black people marrying each other, they get to be just as miserable as everybody else.
Ooh, I got a question
2005,
for you for next year.
U.S. Congress formally apologizes for the failure to pass any of the 200 anti-lynching bills introduced from 1882 to 1968. Yeah, and that's funny as hell because we still ain't
We
got no,
sorry,
we still ain't
but
got
we
no,
still ain't
we
do
still
it.
ain't got one. Y'all so full
Crazy.
of shit, y'all. Y'all make me sick.
Crazy.
America,
White people.
America, y'all make me sick. And you make it hard for me to argue for you when you do shit like that, and then John over there goes, "White people." 1920.
We sorry.
3 black circus workers are accused of raping a white woman and lynched by a mob of 10,000 in Duluth. Ugh.
10,000.
Last one. Oh, 2 more. 3 more. But they're all on the same date. So January, what the hell? Jay's got confused. June 16th, 1944. George Stinney. A 90-pound black 14-year-old boy is electrocuted in South Carolina after being wrongly convicted of rape and murder, becoming the youngest person executed in 20th century America. All right. The last 2 I'm going to do are birthday wishes. The first one being the 50th birthday of Tupac Amaru Shakur, which will be on this Wednesday, June 16th. So peace and love to
50.
Tupac. I went to Vegas a couple of weeks ago, and I stayed at the MGM Grand largely because that's where it went down for him on that last night. I was going to Vegas, but that's why I stayed there, because that's my guy. I wanted to be close to him. And also on June 16th, 1968, one of the greatest people in the history of my life was born. My big brother turns 53 years old on this Wednesday, my brother Chuck. So I want to give you some love, man. I love you. You're my brother. You're my mentor. I appreciate you. I appreciate you, how you took care of your little brother and your little sister. I appreciate you. I appreciate the way you always led. And no matter who it was, it could have been moms and pops. You ain't let nobody come for us. And I remember that day back in 1983 when we beat the hell out of that dude together because he was messing with me. And I told you, and you knocked him out. And then you said, come get some. And I put the 9-year-old boot to that son of a bitch. And I appreciate you for 38 years ago letting me beat up that kid because I'm a better man for it.
Happy birthday, bro.
Yeah.
Hold on. Can we?
You know how your little brother be wilding, yeah. So, and I got to see him
9-year-old
this
boot.
weekend, and I got to give my brother, I got to give my big brother a big ass hug and a kiss because I love this dude. And so, peace to you. You that dude. So,
I think it's
anyway,
Buffalo
Happy
Butt
birthday
birthday
to
too.
him.
Mr. Bookman.
Yeah, I believe it's his birthday.
All right. Well, shout out to Johnny Brown.
Yeah,
You know,
80 years old.
80
today,
years old
yeah.
for Johnny
Booker.
Brown. Buffalo butt.
Booger.
Booger. Yeah. So, has Steppin Marcus J live from New Den Legacy and everything. Man, this was fun tonight.
Yeah, I had a
This
good
was
time.
this was fun tonight. All right. This me saying this was fun only means that we at the end, Steph.
That's
So,
it.
John, got to take us home. You got your rent, you got your closing, you got how you gonna take us home. Steph will follow, and I'll close us out. What you got, bro?
A few months ago, when we last year, and it probably was around this time when we realized that we were going to have Kamala Harris on the ticket with Joe Biden. I had addressed everyone. I said, well, what do we have to give up for that? Doesn't come for free. What are we giving up? And I would like for folks to do a little research and dig into a few things and find out some of the things that we given up. Some of the things that that Biden had an opportunity to execute and he didn't. Things he didn't put into his agenda. Things that Kamala Harris as vice president had a full opportunity to speak up on, but didn't. And how the Biden administration forced the Southern District of New York to stand down on warrants against Trump. Nobody wants to speak about that. They had active warrants. He was person number 2 during the conviction of his lawyer who went to jail. That means he was already guilty of the crime. He was a co-defendant, but they could not prosecute because at the time he was president of the United States. But as of April of this year, the statute of limitations ran out on that. They had an opportunity to pursue that man on active warrants, and Biden made him stand down. Nobody wants to talk about these kind of things. Nobody's talking about all the money that's being made from the vaccine. Nobody's talking about some of the horrible things that are going on the continent of Africa and different nations. Nobody's talking about how China has recolonized Africa and to a large degree. No one is discussing the fact that we could get an anti-hate bill for Asians and we can't get an anti-lynching law. Talking about 30 days versus 300 years. It's a lot of zeros in difference. And these are the things that we are not willing to discuss as we celebrated having Kamala Harris as a vice president. I wish her nothing but the best, and I celebrate and revel in her success as a Black woman, and I appreciate her. And anybody beats Trump, so congratulations to Joe Biden. But again, we cannot close our eyes to this, and we cannot understand that in a few short months we will be having a midterm, and it is very important for us to gain more seats in the Senate and in the Congress. And if we lose anymore, it won't make a difference who's in the White House. It won't make a bit of difference. So all of that work that we did in Georgia, Alabama, and all those other places, and here in Virginia and in Arizona, all those places we put in all that work would be for nothing. And no one is discussing the fact that it's less than 18 months away that we're going to be having midterms. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody's talking about getting more seats. Everybody's talking about reaching across the aisle when it's not even necessary. You already know you're not going to get anything. Did we not learn anything from 2009 and 2010 when we had the majority we needed to make things happen, but they insisted upon reaching across the aisle and we got nothing done? Right? People, pay attention. This stuff is real. And I'm speaking to my exceptional politically involved folk. For those of you who don't have any idea what I'm talking about, if you're not registered to vote this Saturday, coming up on the 19th, there's going to be something going on in Bird Park here in Richmond. You have an opportunity to come out and register to vote. Come out and register. Have a good time. It's going to be a lot of good times. It's going to be a lot of people there with, self and help and improvement and all that kind of stuff. A lot of different businesses and stuff for the kids and all that kind of stuff. But come out and register to vote. If you have a teenager who will be 18 by November, register them to vote. Bring them out. Come down and get your grandparents who don't have that ID that they need and whatever. Let's get it all worked out before it's a problem. Because Steph said we're a purple state. We need to be blue. Right? And this is coming from a former Republican. We need to be blue. We need to have the state legislation remain Democratic. We need to keep a Democratic governor. We have to. Because that's where we're really losing. That's where we're really losing around the country. It's at the state level.
Yep.
Right. So let's get into it. Let's phone our friends and family. Let's get everybody involved. Let's understand that the Black vote is very powerful because whites seem to be split down the middle. Right. We were the difference. Those 6 million votes more or 4 million votes more that Joe Biden got that Trump didn't get were Black. Right? So the reason that Biden is in the White House right now is because of Black folk. Know that. Know your power. Let's recognize it. Let's take charge of it. And that's my rant.
Mm-hmm. Ain't no how stepping with Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy and that radio. Steph B, so good to have you back home.
Yeah.
And it's time for you to close us out. What you got, sis?
Thank you, brothers. I always you guys make Mondays worth looking forward to. I appreciate you both. Thank you. First I want to shout
Yeah, we're
out.
pretty awesome.
I would agree. I would agree. I would agree. I want to shout out. Y'all are a mess. You know what? I like the confidence at all times. You know that. I don't like weakness, so I'll take it, bruh. First, I want to shout out two of my favorite people who are in Marcus's hometown of Jersey City, New Jersey. My aunt and uncle, my aunt Eastland, my uncle Wayne. I gotta tell you, so many times I take the opportunity and I stand for Black women because I feel that often they are left out. But I come from a family of good people and great marriages. And I got to see these two people connect with each other from the time I was at their wedding. I was 9 years old when they got married, and I'm going to be 45 this year, and I have gotten to see them create a wonderful example of love and commitment and connection and conversation. The ability to be able to work through things, to talk through things. I would always say that the example they put out is one that makes me consistently seek and look for and support Black love. So just shout out to them because I got the opportunity today to speak to both of them separately. And it's amazing when you speak to two people who love each other so much that without knowing, they are saying the same thing about one another to one individual. It's just amazing. So I just want to shout out my aunt and uncle in Jersey City, and they have the example that they show. My daughter is getting the opportunity to see while she's living up north, and I really appreciate them for that. So my rants kind of comes off what my brother was saying over here. I had to go vote last week, and I got home really late. I haven't been feeling well, and there were about 13 minutes left to vote. And I didn't even think about it, to be very honest, because this recent primary has been really lackluster.
Yes.
The candidates have not done their best at salesmanship here in the state of Virginia. I think that new blood is necessary on a lot of their campaigns. Someone who actually, or some people who actually understand selling the messaging to the voters and who aren't afraid. And so I really had, I'd been seeing some of my local friends who are activists really pushing one candidate. I wasn't committed to that particular candidate in my mind, and was kind of on the fence about who I was going to vote for. So it's not surprising that for the first time in my life, I actually almost forgot to vote in the entire time that I've been eligible. And so last minute, I was getting ready to walk my dog, and I realized it's Tuesday. I got to go vote. And I was able to walk 0.2 miles across the street from my apartment to the local fire station to vote. And it made me think about the fact that there are literal entire demographics of politics at the state level, from Georgia to Texas to Arizona, that are working hard to make sure that if you got off late or you forgot and wanted to run out of your house, you would not have an easily accessible means to vote. I literally walked out of my house it took me 6:52, and I walked up the street, across the street here in Richmond, and showed up at 6:58 to vote, and was able to do so and go back home. There are a lot of places, especially in the South, where if someone doesn't have a vehicle, there's no public transportation that's accessible and easy for them to get where they need to go. So every single time that one of these red states, which primarily are the southern states that are going after these measures and behaviors, every single time they make voting inaccessible by removing voting boxes or moving voting locations, polling places, they know exactly what they are doing. They know exactly who they're trying to target. And for the most part, they don't care if poor people don't vote. It's not just black people, poor people. They don't care if poor people don't vote because the likelihood of a certain financial demographic, including black people, of voting Democratic is high. And so they're doing every single thing possible. They watched Stacey Abrams have significant movement in Georgia to the point of where 2 Democratic senators were able to be elected, and it was enough to freak them out and actually start to make movements on the basis of a lie. They are changing laws by saying, we want to protect the vote because this last election was dodgy. No, it wasn't. And the only way that you're going to be able to prevent this, and I'm telling you, this is a slippery slope that started when they exchanged gay marriage for voting rights, which is basically what they did. They gave us gay marriage. They moved the carrot over here to distract us, and they started to reduce and destruct the Voting Rights Act. And slowly but surely, we have now come to a point of where we can look at places like Georgia. It's about to happen in Tennessee. It's happening in Arkansas, Arizona, places that black people live. We're everywhere. We are everywhere. And those little changes are enough that should someone want to fight it, should a Democratic legislature want to fight it and take it to the Supreme Court, the Voting Rights Act has been so gutted that there are very few means to overturn what some of these Republican governors are doing, which hinges on certainly on what John was saying about making sure that you vote at the state level. It is integral to the success of our people and our children. Even if you don't think it matters, this shows it clearly does. It's very rare for wealthy people and Republicans and white people to fight hard for something that doesn't matter. They know exactly what overturning some of these laws will do and who it will prevent from having their voices heard. It is so important. If you didn't vote in this recent primary, but you know that the election is coming up in November, I would challenge you to get out there and do exactly what John said. You may not be a fan of the man that is the elected official or the representative of the Democratic Party coming up for nomination or coming up for election in November as governor, but you are better off voting for him than anyone who currently is in the Republican Party. This is a party that now has gone so far down the slope, so far down the rabbit hole of lies and support of a cult of personality that we can no longer trust them. I don't care who you are and how much money you make. You can no longer trust them to support you as an individual. And trust me, if these laws turn over, it doesn't just mean it's going to work for the Republicans. The minute a Democrat is in power and wants to use those same rules to overturn the voice of the people, that will happen. This isn't going to be a one-off. These are things that are going to be put into play, and they are going to stand for a long period of time. So I challenge you. Even if you hate the government, hate them enough to show up and protect yourselves from the rabbit hole that we started going down when we elected Donald Trump and have continued to follow it. And that's my rant.
Ain't no hashtag on Marcus J, live from New Den, Legacy Internet Radio. Before I close us out with my own rant and my own closing, we got a couple of missing children that we need to track down. We're looking for 2 tonight, and we're going to be looking for Nicole Harris. Nicole Harris has been missing since June 3rd, 2021. She's a 16-year-old black female. She stands 5'5", weighs 150 pounds. Last seen on June 3rd wearing a black t-shirt, black leggings, and her hair was braided with 2 white braids. She was wearing a necklace and hoop earrings. If you've seen Nicole Harris, please contact the National Center for Missing and/or Exploited Children on their website, missingkids.org, or contact the Chesterfield County Police Department at 804-748-1251. We're also looking for Joseph Lewis. He's been missing since June 11th, 2021. 15-year-old black male. He's 5'6", 125. Joseph was last seen wearing a black jacket, blue jeans, navy blue Crocs shoes. He requires medication and may be in need of medical attention. If you've seen him, please contact the Richmond City Police Department at 804-646-5100. If you've seen Joseph Lewis or if you've seen Nicole Harris, please contact the National Center for Missing and/or Exploited Children on their website, missingkids.org, or call them at 1-800-THE-LOST, 1-800-843-5678. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. It's time for me to close this out, and I'll be brief tonight. It's been a good stretch for me lately, largely because of Mama turned 18 recently. She graduated high school recently, and I'm very proud of her. You know, people always talk about they're proud of their children. I'm really, really proud of her, and she's done a lot of great work, and she's got a lot of great work ahead of her. But I remember talking to my dad when I was younger, and he would talk about how my older brother and my younger sister and me made him proud, and how he'd go to work and how he talked to folks at the job sometimes, and how they would always lament the fact that some of their children may not have brought the kind of pride to their families that we had. And I understood that, to know how important it is to do the right things. Not so much to make your parents proud. You don't do the right things to make your parents proud. You do the right things because they're the right things. And if you do those, you'll make your parents proud. And so I always remember that. And as I've gotten older, 47 years, my birthday was recently. As I've gotten older, I have gotten to a point where seeing my friends and my family and other children around me prosper has given me pride. You know, I had made a post on Facebook to this effect earlier, and I talked about how if I look at my Facebook friends group, it goes all the way back. You know, I got my family on there. There are people on my Facebook friends list who I talk to semi-regularly now that I was in the kindergarten with at Lutheran Parochial School in Jersey City, New Jersey, all the way through high school and through the various jobs and the organizations that I've been a part of, and of course, Legacy Internet Radio. And I've come across a lot of people, and I've always been struck by how they feel about their children. It's something that's important to me. And if I rocks with you, I rocks with your kids and your grandkids. And we in the season for that. So that's probably, you know, fueling my rant here. But I think that our children are our most important asset. And we have to pour into them everything that we have. Everything that we have. You know, I know sometimes when I do that with my own, it can be a bit much. I don't care, because I'm going to keep doing it. And I'm going to do it to yours too, if I have the blessing of ever having been around them. And so this rant is about the pride that I feel, not just towards my own, but towards the children and grandchildren of the people that I rock with, man. Because not to be corny, even though I pride myself on being openly and proudly corny, but the children legitimately are our future. And everything that we put into them is what we can hope, not expect, but hope to get back. So that's all I got. That's my myrrh. It's got nothing to do with what we in here talking about tonight. But I think it was appropriate with the season that we're in right now with all the graduations. And we've got graduations that have passed last week. We got some tomorrow and the rest of this week. So happy season. Congratulations to all the graduates and parents. Keep up the good work, man. Keep up the good work. That is the Murray Marcus's Unrelated Rants. Got nothing to do with what we here to talk about tonight. It's the end of the show. I want to remind everybody independence is key to building your legacy. Also want to say peace to all of the stars and all of the squares in the abundance of water. The fool's thirsty. Those are the words of Bob Marley, who you hear singing in the background. Authenticity has no competition. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. We will be back here live from this space. He gonna be here. She gonna be here, and I'm gonna be here next week, y'all. We gonna holler at you.
Peace out, Facebook
Peace,
family.
peace,
We love
peace.
y'all.
Yeah,
Thank
man.
you for tuning in.
Oh yeah, I'm with this, with it. I'm just gonna lay back and I'ma drop some smooth lyrics. So tune in 7 to 9:30 and don't be late. We about to set it straight. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Word. I'm ready, let's go. Ain't no half stepping, that's the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters talk sprinkled with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the beat, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk, running back. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk. Steppin' is the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters talk sprinkled with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the beat, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk.